YouTube L. I'll say it. I'll say it. Okay, but actually though, did you all do what you were supposed to do? You guys remember? What were you supposed to have done by today? Oops, someone in YouTube chat remembered. YouTube W. My dog ate it. Guys, that was your only fucking job, man. I was watching I was playing Warcraft 3. Give me a break. Oh shit. Dude, I like barely played Warcraft 3. I went to this man, what was it? It was like an after school thing, I guess. Like, okay, so here's what I did when I was a kid. Like when I ended school, I would get on a bus. Or no, it was during the summer. It wasn't after school. It was like they would take me to one of the other middle schools or elementary schools during the summer, which now I never really realized why this was a thing as a kid. But it's definitely because school is just a form of daycare, and during the summer when you're out of school, your parents, if they work, obviously they just have to send you somewhere. But yeah, they shipped me out to this other middle school, and it was just like they basically just watched over us all day. And then we got to play games, and they had like a little video game area, and Warcraft 3 was one of the games in there. That's the only time I ever played Warcraft 3, and it was with a bunch of other kids. There's like a pool table there. That was fun. Well, no, it was actually, okay, it was kind of clicky. Well, I mean, I was in middle school at the time, so like, I don't know if you guys know a lot about this. You probably just remember when you were a middle schooler, but from someone who thought about a career in education and student taught in a middle school for a little bit, middle schoolers are fucking evil. They're like really, really fucking mean people. And I was like not part of the like cool group in that middle school thing, and I was just in there playing games. But hey, that turned out well. But yeah. I don't know how middle school teachers do it. Yeah, actually true. Actually true. Max, these keys aren't going to do themselves. Maybe they will, though. Dude, I had someone reach out to me on Twitter. Like, well, reach out to me. They, like, added me, and I got a notification for it. Dude, this is going to be extremely unrelatable, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Back when you used to be verified before the, like, Twitter Blue thing, your notifications actually were a lot more reasonable as, like, a content creator. Because, like, when you click notifications, it says all, and then it says verified, and then it says mentions. If you do all as, like, someone with a decent amount of followers, it's, like, kind of unreadable. And verified was at least, like, stuff you could see for, like, most of your mutuals reacting to things, which is, I think, what most people use Twitter for that have lower followers. When you have higher followers, you have so many people that that are like commenting on your shit that they're not people you actually know. But the verified column in a way used to serve as like a these are people you actually know tab, you know. And now on Twitter, the verified tab is just people who fucking pay for it. So it's like it completely ruined the use of that. I know not a lot of people were verified before, so it didn't actually serve that purpose, but it sucks that that is gone for sure. Made the site a lot worse for me. Anyways, someone messaged me. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. As far as I know, I don't follow this person. I've never spoken with them ever. They're just literally just a completely random person on Twitter. Yo, at maximum, want to be our 5th for Mythic Plus? Need a DPS. Buds and I are cool, casual fun. Sound good? Dude, what? Like, in what universe would I do that? Like, let's go over a few factors. Number one, I'm not playing this season at all. Like, I just don't even have a character. Like, I'm not in the game. I can't do that. So, like, not only is it, like, are they asking me to, like, hey, log on, they're also, in a way, asking me to, like, gear up a character for 2 weeks just to, you know, it's a crazy... I mean, you gotta respect the question, but... Max, are you planning to have a Warlock on a talk that changes? Yeah, that actually sounds like a good idea today. You could tell by my pretty descriptive title that one of the things I'll be doing today is communicating with some... well-respected people for their classes about what changes have happened in Alpha. Which is what bread means. Dude, stream titles are so fucking useless. Have you guys ever thought about that? Like, I can't believe I used to make stream titles that were, like, super descriptive. Like, who fucking cares? Like if you log on Twitch and you see my title and it just says elephant, you're going to have the exact same, like, you're just as likely to click my stream as if it says, like, here's what's going on today, and then there's this, and then there's this. You know, like, no one fucking cares, man. You just got to, like, fucking do it. That's only true for big streamers. Yeah, actually, that's probably... Well, that's probably true. I mean, if you're, like, a medium-sized streamer, like, if you had a couple hundred viewers and people know... Because, like, here's why my stream says bread, right? Because, like, if you're clicking on my stream, you're probably clicking on my stream to just hear me yap about shit. That's what you're doing. So, like, no matter what my title is... that's what I'm gonna do. So it doesn't matter what my title is. But, like, if you watch someone for other, like, very specific reasons, you may want to only watch them for that thing. But, like, you know what the fucking stream is before you see the you know? But, like, even if you're a medium-sized streamer, if you're known for one thing, you could probably do the same thing, but it would also potentially hinder your growth. I turned on your stream because I am French and my baguette sense kicked in. Ah, yes. Omelette du fromage, bitch. Wait, what thought you gonna start raid leading a bakery? What? Dude, remember that random German baker that was streaming at like 3 a.m. his time during the Race World last? Holy moly. I love when Max takes us to Yapplebee's and we just all get to have a fun time. Fucking Yapplebee's. That's actually funny as fuck. I'm mad I didn't think of that. I'm gonna steal that. I'm not gonna say it for a while, but I'm gonna use it multiple days from now and take full credit for that. But thank you. That was funny as fuck. Just like if you guys listen to the Potty C, Dorky came up with an insane idea during the Potty C, and I tweeted it the other day. Dorky said basically we should every new season there should be like a Mythic Zero Dawn of the Infinite thing like there is this time, like a hard mode Mythic Zero that's like a little harder, no timer obviously, gives a little bit better rewards because it like worked out really well this season. He said that on the podcast, and I tweeted it mid-podcast, and I told him I was going to steal it, and everyone was going to give me credit for it. And then I actually did. Because, like, I did that as a bit, and then Dorky, even in the reply, said, like, wow, what a great idea. You forgot about the part of me adding hard mode or whatever. And then no one even responded to it. No one... I think there was one response. It was like, oh, what? You think you... Oh, yes. Here's what someone responded to Dorky with. You're really overreaching if you think you can optimize this insane Max Cook. And then he called him Donkey. Which is... I've never heard someone slander Dorky by calling him Donkey. Like, just replacing the R with an N. But that kind of goes hard. Max, are you going to talk about how the first half of this week's episode was Dratnos just describing the episode because no one recorded it? Yeah, we will talk about that. Honestly, that was really fucking impressive. Okay, so I can give you like a little background on that. Like, I recorded that entire podcast and I didn't know until the next day that he fucked up the recording. And he literally, before telling me and Dorky this, just for the sake of us not ruining the podcast, because I'm not going to lie, if Dratnos was like, yo, by the way, I forgot to record the first half of that episode, I would have been like in shambles. That would have been like, because I had to go. Like, we were kind of in a tight time frame. Like, we wouldn't have re-recorded it, and we probably wouldn't have cut. Like, in his mind, in like instantly, he decided that he wasn't going to tell us because it would ruin the podcast. Probably true. And then he was just going to start recording. And then I guess he took mental notes or maybe real notes on all the stuff we had talked about. And then he just decided after this podcast is over, I'm just going to recap it and send it to Frank and just see what happens. And he told Frank about it. But that's like, the two things about that are impressive. Number one, I don't know if I would have done that. Number two, he transcribed what we talked about remarkably well. Like, I know people were laughing because he did like a Dorky impression and... You know, he was like just talking about like his summary of what we talked about and who said what was exactly right. And it was like 30 minutes of conversation. That was honestly fucking insane. Like, that was seriously... Oh shit, I clicked on a Kendrick Lamar reaction thing on Twitter while I was showing you my reaction or my notification tab. Or I wasn't showing you, I was talking about it. Yeah, that's crazy, by the way. Probably talk about that too. Not for long, because I don't know. You guys probably don't care about that, but yeah, dude. Dratnos is a beast. That's all I gotta say. The rap beef has been top notch, dude. I feel like rap needed it too. I feel like hip hop's been real stagnant for a little bit, and this has been like super entertaining. I feel like it's just Drake fans that are just going to say Drake cooked and Kendrick's stuff sucked before it even dropped. And then there's Kendrick fans doing the exact same thing, like Kendrick cooked, Drake sucks, whatever. They both like fall in pretty polar opposite sides of the rap. This is why this rap beef is so interesting, because they fall in two different sides. Like, Kendrick is like the rapper's rapper, you know? He's like the lyricist. He's untouchable. And Drake's been like the most successful, but like, you know, there's always been questions as to, you know, how good he is in comparison to these other guys regardless of success. It's more pop, it's more singing, it's stuff like that. So like the fans are like opposite ends of like what they like from the genre in general. And there's and then there's a bunch of unbiased people. I'd say I'm one of them. I don't really give a shit about either one of them either way. That's just been enjoying it. It's been getting real personal. There's some real hate in there. There's potentially some planted shit given to Kendrick, or maybe that's made up. Who knows? We'll find out soon. They're fucking releasing diss tracks like 15 minutes after one another. It's fucking wild. It's like a movie. I can't wait to watch the documentary about this one day. It's fucking sick. And then everyone was shitting on J. Cole like 3 weeks ago because he backed out of this. Bro, that he looks like the smartest man alive right now. It is getting real as fuck. It is getting insanely Oh, I should go live. There's one thing that I don't get though. Apparently like all that like stuff that Kendrick had on the album cover, someone said it was in a suitcase, or they claimed it was a suitcase stolen from Drake's dad. That's the word right now. And that's like definitely bullshit. like like there's no way Drake's dad is traveling and someone stole a suitcase from him and he had exactly Drake's Ozempic and some other prescription. He had a receipt for a ring. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like fucking, it's just literal fucking nonsense. Like, there's just no way that's true. I'm guessing someone in Drake's camp took the pic and sent it to Kendrick. I'm guessing, okay, that's probably true. But you know what the most crazy thing is, and we'll only find out when the next one comes out from Drake, is what happens if all that stuff was leaked to Kendrick on purpose? There's actually a really long Twitter thread with very, like, it definitely ties it all together and, like, makes it seem like this stuff was given to him on purpose. But also, who fucking knows? Maybe Drake fucking made that shit up. I don't know. Okay, let's, we'll find out soon. Or maybe we won't. All right, I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna go get my glasses and go crazy and do some crazy stuff. Be right back. Let's fucking go. You bet Dratnos would cook in a rap battle? I would never dare face Dratnos in a rappy B. That would be the end of me. That would be the end of all of us. We would all be dead. Dead. Okay. Is it time to stream, chat? All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Wait, let me set some timers real quick. Set a timer for 45 minutes. Set a timer for 2 hours.
2 hours.
Fuck yeah. All right. That's the only way I can... Dude, this is going to sound so stupid. That's the only way I can remember to eat and drink. When I start my stream, I set 45-minute recurring timers to drink water on my watch. And I set a reminder once in my stream to eat. Or else I'll just forget. Got that Boba Fett drip? Yes, sir. We'll be going over it a little bit later on stream, but I'm wearing that, like, new Star Wars hoodie Team Liquid released. They sent me an absolute insane amount of stuff. I tweeted it earlier. Look at this. Look at this. This is my kitchen table. We got, like, the corduroy jacket. We got, like, the lighter one. We got the... I told you these shorts are thick as fuck. You can see it. We got, like, the hoodie, the zip hoodie. We got the camo pants. We got the Boba shirt. I got this shirt on under the hoodie. I love this one. And then I love the Boba Fett hoodie right here. This is my favorite piece. It just released today, too, by the way. Make sure you check it out. We are going to look through it a little bit later. You got the Vader shirt, the hoodie, and the hats. Bro, the fucking... This hoodie is so comfortable. You look skinnier, Max? Thank you. Yeah, I... Since January, so it's been, like, pretty much 5 months, a little closer to 4.5. I've lost 15 pounds. Have gotten stronger in, like, every single muscle group. I've lost, like, 4.5% body fat. My resting heart rate went from 65 to currently 47. So we're in there. We're doing it. $47 is wild. Yeah, so I found the hack. So hockey is like the hack to my getting fit thing, and here's why. I think it is impossible for me to burn as many calories as I do playing hockey, like, without doing it. Like, for example, in, like, a hard-fought hockey game, I bet I burn more than 1,000 calories. Okay? For me to do that, like, running or biking or something is so fucking boring. It's just so boring. Like, basically what I've found, like, I've told you guys this before, but, like, my whole life has just been bouncing around different ADHD hyperfixations. But this is the first one where I'm, like, it's been good for my well-being, too. Like, I'll play, like, 2 or 3 hockey games a night. You know? Which is, like, crazy for cardiovascular stuff. So that's been I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life. I'm getting really fucking good at it, too. What is it? Hockey is sick for health until your body starts getting clapped. Yeah, my spine gets kind of tight now. I noticed that. Been doing a lot of yoga though. Yoga helps a lot. Not like yoga classes. I would never go to a yoga class. That sounds awful. There's a lot of great apps for it though. Yeah, especially the gym that I go to in LA. The people there are way too beautiful and have been doing yoga for way too long for me to ever show my puny face in their presence. So we won't be doing that. But we do it a lot at home. Yoga is insane for hockey. Hockey is like strength is important for sure, but it's all about balance and like stability and mobility for sure. A mic'd up hockey stream would go crazy. I think you're actually right. What is it? Equinox Enjoyer? Bro, I go to like an LA invite only like bougie Equinox basically. I'm actually thinking about stopping my membership there because I don't think it's worth the price difference, honestly. Like it has like a really, really nice locker room and shit, but I'm definitely actually thinking about changing. It's just not worth it. All right, anyways. So, on some more my normal stream-related shit, we recorded a podcast a couple nights ago. The old podcast. Maybe some of you guys have already seen it. Let's see if we can find Podyssey here. Oh, it's actually... Oh, by the way, our views are ramping. I've noticed that. I've noticed that, like... Maybe Frank knows more about this, but, like... Our just like regular potty episodes are like the amount of views they're getting in one day are getting like hella, like people are saying this is your best episode every single episode. I've definitely noticed that within the last 3 or 4 episodes, our chemistry as podcast hosts with each other has, maybe you guys have noticed this too, has definitely ramped. There was more dead space and trying to figure out who was talking, and obviously I had that problem where I was interrupting people and shit like that early on. I feel like the last 4 episodes, if you're Podyssey enjoyers, I feel like we have been absolutely slamming. Like they're, I feel like we all understand each other a lot more, and we know what the product is now, and I think it's been really fucking good. But anyways, the beginning of last podcast
and I don't think
was super interesting. There's 2 things I want to show you from this podcast. I'm just going to let you listen to the beginning of the Dratnos thing. Okay?
Oh, hey everybody. Welcome to episode 23 of the Podyssey. Now you may notice, depending on how Frank is edited, that it's just me that you can see right now. And that's because there's a little bit of an incident during recording this podcast this time around that we fixed eventually. So if you're interested in skipping ahead to where there's all 3 of us, feel free to do so. There will be probably a chapter that tells you down at the bottom where exactly that is. But I want to, take some responsibility here. This was my fault mostly, but also Frank's fault quite a bit. And really, he has fewer jobs than me. I guess he kind of has more jobs than me, so maybe it is kind of more my fault. Either way, not a blame game we're playing here. What happened was, I was supposed to hit start recording when we start talking. In theory, Frank should also probably be recording for a backup, something that we'll probably be doing in future weeks. But anyways, however you slice it, neither of those 2 things happened at the start of the episode that we recorded this week. So for about 40 minutes or so, I don't want to make you feel like you've lost a lot of content, but there was a reasonable amount of discussion that happened within this period of time.
Literally 30 minutes. It was about 30 minutes of the podcast was juiced to this. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire summary, but what Dratnos does for about 18 minutes is recaps with incredible accuracy about what we talked about and who said what. And that is extremely impressive. I even told this to him when I found this out. I said this in the Starting Soon stream. I'm just going to reiterate it. You'll see later in the podcast, you can actually see it in his face that he realizes that he hasn't recorded, and then he's like fixing it. This is when it actually started, right? he didn't tell any of us. And I think that's super important. Like, I'm pretty sure I would have been like, guys, I got bad news. I wasn't recording. He just decided all on his own. That's going to ruin the podcast. It probably would have. And he just went and did the rest of the podcast as if nothing happened. And then right after it was over, without telling anyone, did a full recap of what we talked about. And I know I'm one of the only 3 people that was there, but he got everything right. Like, he remembered not only who said what and in what order, but like he recapped the whole fucking thing off the dome, which is fucking insane. I know it's like a, you know, which a lot of people in the chat, in the comment section mentioned. They were like, you know, I'm really glad I got to listen to the Drat EC this week, whatever, like people were, and yeah, so like shout out to him for doing that for sure. Like that is probably the absolute best way someone could have salvaged that situation. So insane. And there was also another funny moment in here that I want to point out. Oh, Twitch is about to get ads. Get destroyed, by the way. Twitch L. Wait, what did he message you, Frank? Let's see. I'm just not gonna tell them, huh? They don't know yet? Yeah, I don't want to make them sad. Look at that. My goat. My goat. Dratty's podcast experience is really shining. Yeah, he's like the goat. He's a goat. If you ever just watch our podcast on YouTube, you can tell that he just has hundreds of podcast episodes. And I don't even know if this is an experience thing. It might even just be a him thing. But something he does really well is look. Like, I would bet a decent amount of people who listen to our podcast don't even watch the video. They just listen to it. But even then, he still looks actively engaged and thinking about what you're saying and responding and giving very expressive facial expressions when you're saying stuff. And it actually makes me wonder if he's thinking about doing that because he's being recorded on a podcast, or if he does that like when he's not streaming but talk. Like, imagine he's in a Discord channel talking to 3 people and it's just off stream. Do you think he's also doing those things? Or do you think it's because it's on the podcast? Because it'd be kind of fucking crazy if he was just natty doing it. He's obviously a really good listener, yeah. Okay, anyways, that's enough glazing Dratnos. But I do want to talk about this. There's one funny thing that happened in here. I don't know what this freeze frame is. Is this the exact moment?
It feels like they have a lot they can do in their hands.
Okay, apparently this is when Dratnos realized that he wasn't recording. I just want to watch this.
Recording, my bad.
It feels like they have a lot they can do in their hands. But on the other hand, the opposite is
right
entirely
here.
true too. Because
Oh,
you have
no.
to look at it from a
Wait.
civilian perspective. Like
Wait.
for most civilian
Wait.
dealers who are just out here bugging, they are not only having to deal with a crazy amount of burst damage, but also the mistakes people are making. Now, like,
He's so concerned. Look at him. Look at him. He's
The
so
crazy amount
concerned,
of
bro.
burst damage.
Where, let's see if I can
But
pause
also
frame on the face.
the mistakes people are
He's
making.
very stressed out right now.
Now, like, obviously, in a perfect world where you have a demon hunter locking down all the mobs and people are properly using the defensives, it's like, all right,
And then he immediately forgets all of that and just go back to... Dude, Reptar has been stealing the show on the podcast recently. You guys watch my stream all the time. When I'm streaming, he's just like fucking asleep. Like, he just chills out. Like, sometimes he's like squeaking his toy or whatever, but he doesn't... Dude, in the podcast last week, he was fucking chasing his tail. This one, as soon as Dratnos actually hits record, which is Reptar knows that, by the way. Like, Reptar was very normal during the part of this that wasn't ended up being recorded, and then now he's just jumping on the couch. I think even later in this, the other dog like tries to sit on him. Like, I don't know. Reptar's a fucking beast, bro. Like, what is he doing up there?
but also the mistakes people are making. Now, like, obviously,
And I also, there's one take I had in here that I want to hear your all's opinions on. That I'll play later. Oh, there's also one that's pretty funny. So normally we tell Frank to do stuff that we know he's not going to do. And and then he just says like no or something, but he actually did it this time, so I want you guys to see it.
Doesn't have the I think it doesn't have the parts of dragon writing that made no good bad. It doesn't feel
ahead.
except for the part where the boss was a shadow crystal. Okay, that was like a bug though, but like how that dungeon's supposed to work. Oh my god, the shadow crystal looks insane. Frank, by the way, he will put up a picture of the dark crystal when we were in that dungeon earlier right now. With
Last boss room too. Oh, we gotta put that one too. That one's.
He'll even do it so whatever image he uses for Dorky's camera today, it will look like that he is holding up the picture.
Yeah.
Oh, it might be sick.
It's gonna he's gonna be juggling it between his two cat hands and stuff, and it's gonna be good. He's gonna be on a little unicycle doing some circus tricks.
The best part is usually when we're recording these, Frank is like not here because it's so late, but like he's actually here right now. Like, he's just listening to this. He's at his computer and just
Oh, dude, this podcast fucking owns. Anyways, where was my cook? Wait, there's a section called Max Commits Fraud.
Yeah,
this is such a good idea. I'm gonna steal it and tweet it, and by the time this comes out, people will already have liked my tweet before they'll know that I totally stole your idea.
I did this. I won't tell you what it was about, but you can probably tell from context. But this is exactly what happened. I tweeted, which was, with a new Mythic Zero system, they should make a dungeon hard mode every season like Dottie is now. No timer, harder tuning, good rewards, and a change of pace. 400 likes. I stole this word for word, bar for bar from Dorky. I have never thought about this organically in my life. He said it, and I just fucking stole it. And then no one even brought that up. Like, no one came back here and was like, yo, you made this up. Yo, you made this up. I kind of hinted to it. With a couple things. Dorky like tried to like take credit for it, and then I smiled, and someone called him, let's see, you're really overreaching if you think you can optimize this insane max cook. And then they called him Donkey, which I've never heard before, but is a crazy like way to disrespect Dorky by just replacing the R with an N. Never thought about that, but yeah, so that happened. And then there was one. Where was the thing I was talking about for stops? I don't remember. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it.
The interior Maruk area. So Max, these are mobs that
I have a key level. I realize what these dungeons need to look like if people aren't stopping. Then they make a dungeon.
Actually, as you're pulling more mobs.
All right, this is what I want to hear. I want to hear your all's thoughts on this. Maybe I need to listen to the whole thing.
It's like if you pull twice as many mobs,
yeah, we need to listen to this whole section.
Dogs over and over again. Makes them honestly, it makes that pack just kind of unpullable. But I think if we look at the War Within dungeons,
we stop all those things so the healer just has to suffer.
Right when Dratnos starts talking,
which we love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Rotting Wind case, though. So, okay, the Rotting Winds you can stop, but
that one gets stopped, yeah, but
the Beast Callers were changed in the interior Maruk area, so Max.
And also in season 2, was it season 3 that had a Tulzar? It was, right? They also made the last boss, Yasma, not cast that one spell, but it just went off automatically. Now, this is not a good example because they never tuned that really well. But that's an example of we don't want this thing to like instantly kill people and then you just wipe because you miss a kick, which happens all the time in lower skilled groups. We'd rather you know it's going to go off and tune it to be dealt with, except they forgot the tuning part. But that kind of is the going into what I'm talking about.
These are mobs that they used to sit around and summon ads, but you could like stop them. Now you can't. So if you pull one, there's going to summon a bunch of dogs over and over again.
By the way, we're not going to watch party and react the entire podcast. It's just this one thing I want to know specifically. It's the first thing I want to talk about today, so I just want to have it said first, and then we'll go into it.
Honestly, it makes that pack just kind of unpullable. But I think if we look at the War Within dungeons we've done, there's a few packs. Like, there was the Dawnbreaker dungeon we did, which was this airship dungeon. It was pretty cool. But it had these pulls where it's like, if you pull twice as many mobs, you're going to have this debuff that goes on people that you're not going to be able to dispel anywhere close to the... Like, if you just pull one pack, you know, everybody's getting one stack every 8 seconds or 15 seconds or whatever, you can keep it under control. But if you pull 2 packs, you're getting 2 stacks every so often, right? And, like, just everybody's dead. And that, I think, is the kind of... Like, if you do, like, unstoppable stuff like that, I think that's kind of the idea of it, right? Is that the difficulty goes up like exponentially as you're pulling more mobs rather than just linearly.
But removes the need
yeah.
for communication of stops in like a not too high of a key level. Like this is maybe this is extremely cooked. I thought of this earlier. I'm just gonna say it again here on the podcast, but like the idea that like just maybe one season they make a dungeon that nothing can be stopped. Not a single mob can be stunned. If we're going really extreme here, maybe even kicked. But like every single thing that happens to you in that dungeon is intended to be dealt with, and it is tuned because of that. And that's so different from WoW. It makes no use of like hundreds of buttons in this game. And so it's probably not the overall goal, but it would be an interesting design experiment to see how that plays out and what dungeons would look like if, and have Blizzard realize what these dungeons need to look like if people aren't stopping all this stuff. Because if you really boil it down right now, they're making it, it's almost like the weak aura problem in raids, right? They're making things weak, they're making mechanics because weak auras exist and they have to design around that. They know you have a million stops, so they have to give you a million things to stop, which makes it annoying for top groups, but doable. But we always talk about what is the difference between like a super, super good group and someone who's is not as invested in the game. The first thing that you notice is not damage or healing. It is the ability to coordinate and consistently use crowd control and assignments just in general. So you're actually making the game more oppressive for the lower playing base by creating dungeons with that concept. And I just wonder what that looks like, or if they would learn anything from doing something like that.
All right, what do you guys think about that? There's a dungeon, or what do you think? Maybe the best way to phrase this question is, what do you think we would learn? Or would that be bad? Like, I'm not saying, I don't think this should just be dungeons going forward. It's almost like what would they learn from that? You know? Like, if you actually had nothing that was able to be stopped, what would actually be the most reasonable things to happen for a pack? Because like the issue right now is high Mythic Plus teams are totally dependent on certain comps to stop everything that's trying to happen to you from happening. But that's like, I don't know. I think if that was completely gone, I think it would be a little bit more boring, to be completely honest with you. But the issue it makes is like lower skilled groups in the 20s and lower in the 15s and stuff like that. I guess the key levels are different now. Those things just aren't being stopped, but the amount of things that exist are really high because they know that stops exist. But if stops exist and people aren't using them, which is going to happen, then it kind of makes things seem more crazy than they are. So it's like, it's almost like I would just love to see what would happen if they took all that out. And well, it would be one of two things, right? It would be really difficult, and I feel like it would hurt key scaling. Like, I feel like keys would scale out of control because of the amount of things happening. But there would be also less things happening for sure. Like, the first thing that would happen, 100%, is that less total things would happen in every trash pack by default. But, like, how do they challenge you? Do they make those things do damage? Do they stun one particular player? Do they do high AoE to you, you know? I don't know. More stops and high keys, problem solved. So just add a bunch more CC to every class, or do what they said they're going to do in the War Within, which is give everyone Drakthir, basically. If every class can be Drakthir, or most classes, probably like half of them, aren't just your entire dungeon group going to be Drakthir if you get Tail Swipe and Wing Buffet? My only thought is this, right? Didn't we make this mistake with defensives? So with defensives, people were looking at how many stops that mages had, or how many defensives that mages had, and they were like, wait, but I'm a hunter and I only have this, and they gave hunters like a bunch more defensiveness last expansion. And then they, they gave rets and paladins a bunch more, and a couple classes started stacking verse. Just like everyone got more powerful defensively, because people were complaining that some classes weren't good enough defensively, which was true. But maybe the solution wasn't to add to the bottom, it was to remove from the top. So like that's kind of what you're saying, right? Like the issue isn't, there is no issue right now with stops and the amount of things that's happening in packs. You're just saying add more stops to the classes that don't have as many. But doesn't that feel like it's kind of doing the same thing? Where it's a nonstop problem. Let's just say there are this is an extreme thing. Let's say there are 3 times the amount of stops currently in a high Mythic Plus group. So like across your group, let's say you have like 10 things right now with a Vengeance Demon Hunter. Let's say you have 30. Aren't they just going to add more things so you have to make use of those buttons? Or are they going to keep the same amount and then just no mobs are going to do anything because you have infinite stops? Both of those seem wrong, right? Like there's a middle ground. Like it's basically like mobs doing no mechanics versus... And I do actually believe that. I know people say this, the whole like, I wish mobs just did less. Like I'm there too. Like if I'm a DPS, I just want to like pull everything and just blast and, you know, do whatever. But I genuinely think if every single pull in every dungeon was mass pull 30 mobs and then pull boss, and every time you mass pulled 30 mobs, they did nothing, I actually think that would make Mythic Plus more boring than it is now. Like, I think those pulls feel great now because they're few and far between. But I actually think if that's the only thing you did, I think it would get really boring really quick. I don't really know what the exact balance is, but you want some balance of like 5 target, 8 target pulls. Mass pulls need to exist. They're super fun. But I think if it was the only thing and mobs never did anything, Mythic Plus would be super boring and repetitive. Mobs can do stuff as long as they aren't spamming constantly, which is kind of what I'm talking about though. Like, if stops weren't as, and again, I'm not saying they should do this. It would just be interesting to see how it worked. Like, if Blizzard knew that no stops could happen, they would tune packs to be challenging, but not super bullshit. They would have way less mechanics than they are now, but you would know what you would have to deal with, and then you would have to just outplay what's happening to you. And it would make every pack feel significantly different, right? Than each other pack, because like they're using different mechanics and stuff. So I don't know. It would probably also, maybe the negative consequence of this is it would destroy mass pulling actually. Like the only way that mass pulling right now is enabled at all is when you can basically just fully stop what's happening in the pack with stops. If you remove stops and you just obviously reduce the amount of mechanics, like it's kind of unreasonable to think that you'd be able to pull that many mobs together, and that would be kind of boring too, you know. I don't know. I'm just thinking. This is just a big think that I wanted you all to be involved in. I'm not really reading what you guys are saying. Let's see what you're saying. This sounds a lot like devs designing fights for Race World First guilds and not for the skill level of like cutting edge guilds. Yeah, I even made that comparison in the original argument. High Mythic Plus players prio those stops because they were playing at a level that even a single going off is liable to kill you. You don't design a game around what high rank 1 Mythic Plus players will do or are doing. It's actually the opposite of that. So they're... Or no, okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying let the stops be in the game and tune what dungeons should feel like with, you know... In a 20, not people are going to stop everything, but just like remove the total amount of mechanics. And then, hey, if high tier groups want to have perfect CC and just like stop everything from happening, that's just like you said, just like the race, like people who are doing a really high keys in WoW are just like, well, what a lot of people that I play with consider high keys are literally what the 0.1% are doing. That's like what the title is. Like those are extremely, like that's almost none of the player base, right? So you would have that be different. And I don't know how that would affect them really. A lot of streamers. Yeah, you have a point. They could develop a tech that scales, that stops to who's in the group and the pull size. Only 2 kicks at certain cooldowns. The key CC mob only does the CC ability an appropriate number of times. Ooh, are you cooking actually? So if you bring... Let's say you bring a comp with 3 ranged and like one of their, and like, so you, let's just say you guys know of the comp. Let's say you bring a priest healer so you don't have a kick, and then like you bring like 3 ranged DPS so their kicks are shorter. So because of that, the mobs cast their kick. Well, that's kind of the trade-off, right? Like that's why you don't do things like that. Like that's, yeah, that sounds really overcomplicated actually now that I'm thinking about it. I think there's some room there, but yeah. That's an interesting chat, Cook, though. Isn't that the whole point of High Mythic Plus? Is that the perfect synergy is used to push keys as high as possible? Yeah, but a lot of people with popular opinions do High Mythic Plus. So then they use the like extremely meta comp, which is always going to exist, and then only certain classes can do those things, and not the whole game, which is the point. And then it's like they want all classes to be able to do that, which is like completely unrealistic. Max, I'm sorry, but the amount of stops and one-shots in a +10 is actual bullshit. You think so? Oh, do you mean in a +10 now? Which is like an old 20? Fuck, I need to get used to new terminology. I'm not playing Season 4 right now, so I'm probably saying some shit that is not relatable to other people. Do you mean like an old +10, which would be like a new +0? Or do you mean like a +10 like in Season 4, meaning like what was a 20 last season? What gives you the portals, right? Let's get our terminology right. I feel like a +10 now. Okay. Yeah, that's weird. Because clearly 20 is supposed to be an accomplishment and is supposed to be challenging for the majority of player bases because that's where all of the rewards stop. I don't know if I would agree with it being... I mean, people do them week 1, right? And other people might not do them week 1, but you're going to gain 20 eye levels by then. I'm going to go ahead and disagree with that a little bit, I think. If there's one thing I think Blizzard has gotten right, I think Mythic Plus difficulty for who the majority of the player base interacts with them, I think they've gotten that right. Like, I don't think 20s, old 20s, new 10s, 10s which give you the portals, right? I don't think those are overtuned, but I also don't think they're undertuned. Like, I actually think the tuning of that, it's gone up and down a little bit in the past, but I think that's fair game. Like, for a lot of people, that's an achievement. Like, it takes time to get there. Just like what WoW Trucker's saying. Like, it's not something that's free right away. Like, yeah, like, if you're trying to do it first week, second week, like, right now, it's going to murder you. But, like, if that's the level of play you're at, it's an aspirational season goal to get those portals, to get that achievement, right? Where, yeah, like, some people do farm it week 1 just for gear from the vault. But, like, well, that's also... an interesting change too. That's actually where a little bit of public opinion went against Mythic Plus, and I think it was Dragonflight when they made this expansion. But people feel like whatever gives the best... There's a decent amount of the player base that looks at what gives the best gear is required. Not doing what you're capable of doing, but what gives the best gear. So, like... previously, the Mythic Plus vault in Shadowlands was like I think like it was like a 15. It was like a pretty low level to get your maximum reward from the vault. And so because of that, that was just like available for people, and people were just like, okay, that's the best thing you can do. Like, I'm just gonna do that, and that's the thing, right? And then this expansion came out, and to a lot of Mythic Plusers likes, they added like increased loot past a 15. Like, they gave you higher base loot, they gave you better vault loot. And for this expansion, Mythic Plusers have had it better than they've ever had it as far as, like, the availability of gear, right? But because of that, if you're looking to get the most gear on your weekly reset, it could go from making old, like, 15s be what was required to 20s being, in quotes, required to get, like, the top gear. And then people... at least at the beginning of the expansion, I definitely remembered a lot of complaining because, like, people were like, I have to do this. It's like Plunderstorm, right? Like, why is, like, okay, Plunderstorm isn't a thing you have to play, but because it had rewards that people wanted, they had to do it, and it was limited time, right? Mythic Plus portals are a limited time. Like, gear in a season is limited time, so it's like the same thing, right? Like, people felt like they had to do that key. Max, where's your bourbon at? Are you not celebrating Derby? Wait, is the Kentucky Derby today? I should give my dad a call. Holy shit. It is. Oh my god. Guys, do you know how weird it is that the Kentucky Derby is today and I don't even know? That is... Guys, okay, let me just tell you how ridiculous it is that I don't remember this. I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. I have been to that track 30, 50 plus times. My dad is a big has always bet on horses. He's really good at it. He's wrote articles for like handicapping websites and stuff. Like he's really really smart and really good at it. I went to college 2 miles from this derby, and from Churchill Downs, and the fucking derby is today, and I didn't even know it was happening. That is fucking crazy. Anyways, random bit of my life. I'll hit up my dad today. Wild day in my life. Yep, lore unlocked. Dude, we got a really cool experience one time when we went there. I brought a couple of my friends who raided with me, actually. Zyronic. You guys know Zyronic. Actually, was Zyronic on that trip? It might have just been Randy, Kevin, and... maybe Zyro did go. I don't remember. But we were all living together when we were in Limit in Wisconsin. We went down to my family's house for a trip. And we went to, like, Churchill Downs one day with my dad, but he, like, knows everyone there. So they, like, took us up to, like, the announcing booth and all the, like... super fancy areas they only have available one time a year, like during the actual Kentucky Derby, and like almost no one gets to go in there. It was so sick. Anyways, random more lore unlocked. Another thing we talked about too, and I don't know if it actually ended up making it on the podcast, is just more like affix stuff. Like it's more blatantly obvious now. Now that we're in a new season with a new Mythic Plus thing, there is a positive thing, and that's that if you want to like farm gear, you only do +9s and you don't have that second affix. That second affix this week is bolstering. Last week it was raging. So that's like a really sweet thing to not have to deal with, right? But then it just goes to show, you know, like how much better... If the game is that much better to play and more fun to play without one of the affixes, isn't that just telling you all you need to know about the current state of affixes being the thing that makes Mythic Plus feel different every week? Like, just feels like... I mean, I know I don't want to, like, repeat all the same takes. I know you guys want Kiss Curse affixes, positive affixes... You want to just seasonal affixes. We're not going to do the whole thing again. It's just one of those moments that makes you realize that they have to do something. And I don't think they're planning on major affix changes before the expansion. And I think they need to change that. Like I think it is a major thing in WoW. And it's not like you guys hear streamers complain about this all the time, and it's really weird with dungeon complaints because so many dungeon complaints are made by people who only represent a very small portion of dungeons. Like, you know, if this is the entire Mythic Plus player base, right? Like, the amount of things that are only a problem with infinite scaling and people who are actually doing 30 plus keys is like this. It's like the smallest point of the pie chart of people who do Mythic Plus. But like, when you hear opinions, it sounds like it's like this because those people are very loud and they have a lot of fans and they stream and stuff. But, like, affixes affects everybody. This is everybody who's affected by affixes. And they stink. So, like, you know, it's something they should address because it's something that actually affects everyone that steps into a Mythic Plus. Anyways, I don't want to cook on that for 10 years. Max, the wallpaper link though. It's in Wallpaper Engine, just type Hallowfall. JB had an interesting tweet today. I have to admit that even as someone with alpha access, I sort of wish the new content was kept secret. Experiencing Hallowfall for the first time in person isn't going to feel nearly as cool as someone or for anyone that's been seeing it nonstop on their timeline this week. It's fucking true. I cover alpha and beta. It's probably the biggest time for my channel all year. like over time, obviously. I make a ton of money off of the fact that we can beta test alpha and beta, and I also find it really interesting, which is why my stream is popular doing that, right? But even I would love to see what. So what I'm saying is I have a lot of bias to keep it the way it is. I think WoW robs itself of some like overall gaming hype factors of just releasing and like just imagine the War Within releases and like you're seeing these zones, you're seeing hero talents, you're seeing all your class changes, and it's all happening all at once. That would be fucking insane. It'd probably mean so many massive changes for this to ever happen. Like, for example, we would probably get content slower. Like, there's a reason we beta and alpha test this stuff. It helps them do their job faster, you know, and with higher quality. There would just be a lot more bugs, or it would just take longer. That's the only real logic to it. But so, like, is it worth having longer expansions for that feeling? I don't know, but I don't know if the trade-off's worth it. I just know that it would definitely be really fucking sick. What is it? To counter? I mean, that would mean that the initial iteration of Oracle would have been shipped. True, but let's not specifically point out Oracle. It is so interesting, though, that, like, people will dissect and determine to hate something before they ever even see it. So, like, an example of that, not to say that other people didn't hate Plunderstorm, but, like, Plunderstorm received so much hate because it was just announced and you couldn't play it until, like, half a day later. If it was announced and playable right away, that would have reduced 40% of the negativity, if not more, that you saw during that day. Farseer Shaman was just getting dunked on for like multiple weeks, and then they played it one fucking time on alpha and they thought it was great. You know? So like there are some things that are hated that are only hated because they had such a long time to be talked about and dissected before you ever actually even played it. So like sometimes when you if you were to just launch an expansion, like, yeah, all that stuff would have just launched, but I'd be surprised how many people would just be fine with it if they didn't have time to just fucking get in their echo chamber and just hate it before it ever came out. That is not a defense of Oracle, by the way. That is not a defense of original Oracle. Hey, Mr. LM, check Kalamazoo Twitter for some content. If this is some Warlock specific shit that I'm not gonna understand, I'm gonna. All right. Okay. Let's see. Okay, it is Warlock complaining, but it looks interesting. Biggest issue I feel with the Warlock spec talents overall is the raw number of talents we have in conjunction with a large amount of 2-point talent nodes, making pathing tough. Windwalker has 0 2-point talent nodes. Is that true? Oh, I think they did just remove the last one in the most recent update. Yeah, I mean, he's cooking. He's cooking for sure because as you have seen specs get reworked, I think the first one to do this majorly was Rogue. I think the first Rogue rework was the first one that like identified that having 2-point nodes is just ass. So they just basically removed all of them. I don't even know. I think there's like maybe a few in spec trees. Oh, there's some in the class tree, but like, remember when this first came out, how wide it was and how like one pointers just kind of felt like a better thing, you know? Let's see if Windwalker... I thought Windwalker... They removed them here. So Windwalker had one here and one here, and then they had Windwalking, which Windwalking is still sensationally dog shit, but yeah, they're all gone. But it's not surprising that it's that way for Windwalker, because Windwalker was just reworked on Alpha, and they did remove a lot of those. Oh, Rogue removed the 3-pointers, okay. Total number of talent points, number of 2-point nodes. Holy shit. Look at Destro. Wow. Well, Destro also has more nodes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Could you make the argument that 2-point nodes in general are just kind of lazy? Like, think about it. If you have to create 45 talent points and you've made 10 2-point nodes, doesn't that mean that you just like ran out of 10 ideas? Because some of these classes don't have that at all, right? I can tell you, playing Windwalker a lot, and I am very vocally critical of Windwalker constantly when it's bad. I fucking love this spec. It is so fun. The changes they made recently are incredible, man. Like, they are so fucking nice. And a big part of that is there's a lot of ways you can get... Because, like, just in general, a 2-point node will never be as interesting as choosing a 1-point node and then having a choice of a few others after that. Because they all do different things. Instead of just increases your damage by this much and then a little bit more, you know? Max, I think 2-point nodes would be fine if you could still path to the next talent with 1 point. Yeah, I think there's a world where that makes sense, yeah. Windwalker has 45-minute timer went off drinking water. Get owned, everybody. Get destroyed. Destro has 56 total and 16 2-point talents. Yeah, but Destro hasn't been redone yet, though. I mean, it's not surprising. So maybe the classes with the most 2-point nodes, maybe you guys are up for the most reworks. Let me actually go back and look at what they said about hunters, by the way. I tweeted about this not too long ago, and honestly, I, like, didn't look at my... Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of just, like, saw a Wowhead tweet, and I thought they Wowheaded, but it might have just been, like, not even that bad. Here, let's see. Blizzard on Hunter updates in War Within. No updates at this time. Expecting revisions in future builds. While we don't have any specific Hunter changes to announce at this time, we want you to know that we are reading your feedback. And we're working on cleaning up all 3 of the hero talent trees and fixing issues as they arise. Your feedback on the talents have been very helpful thus far, and we expect to have some revisions. Okay, no. This is what this is saying. So basically, Wowhead tweeted, unless I'm wrong, Wowhead tweeted this, and the responses were like, hunters aren't getting anything. But, like, most classes are getting reworked in alpha builds, just not right now. Like, for example, Windwalker has got a ton of attention. Mage has got a ton of attention. Warlock just recently started getting a ton of attention. Warriors got reworked, right? But, like, other ones are going to... Unless, am I reading this wrong? We don't have any specific... Oh, it's just because they mentioned hero talent trees. But you have to understand why they specifically mention hero talent trees. And they don't say we're not going to work on the class and spec trees. They just mention hero talent trees because at the time they posted this, they also made a post for every class. And they went over, like, feedback for those specific ones. This one was just saying, hey, we're going to be working on Hunter soon. That's it. It's not like, hey, we're going to specifically only work on your hero talents before this expansion comes out. Do they like, re-clarify this here and specifically mention that we will not be working on class trees? Because it's not like they clarified or didn't clarify that for anyone else. They just said, hey, we'll be working on this in the future. But anyways, the response to this was like, no, they actually said they're only doing hero talents. But, like, just from the reason I brought this up is Kalamazi's tweet would suggest that, and I don't know if this is true, but an argument you could make looking at this is look at the classes that were recently reworked, right? Windwalker, 0 2-point nodes. Mage, they have 10 across all 3 specs of 2-point nodes, right? Rogue was done recently in the most recent WoW patch when Season 3 came out, right? Red Paladin was just, like, redone in the most recent thing. They have 2. Now, this isn't true across the board. Like, they did Affliction and Demo. I don't think they're done. I'm assuming some of those got reduced a little bit. Arms and Fury were redone in the alpha, and they're down to 3 to 4. Okay, it's like, conclusive as fuck. Like outside of very specific examples, the large majority of the most recently reworked class and spec trees have eliminated more 2-point nodes. That is just true. The vast majority. So you could assume that when Destro gets reworked, that's something they'll look at. But also maybe an idea of what class and spec trees get looked at the most in alpha maybe be the ones, and the ones that are the most, in quotes, out of date are ones that have more nodes like this. Max, have you considered that warlocks belong in the dumpster? Well, I guess no. Well, I mean, we could consider that. I'd like to see this done for tanks and healers also. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm gonna give this a little retweet. I almost never retweet stuff. I'm doing it. Mage and Locks are Blizzard's favorite class. Yeah, you could say that historically. I think like power level you could say that historically, but I think design-wise, I don't think Mage and Warlock are close. I think Mage is designed infinitely better than Warlock is. Oh, dude, I didn't get to look at Windwalker Monk. So they made some Windwalker Monk changes this reset, but I didn't actually have a chance to look at them because I was doing ret stuff and we did a dungeon and then I couldn't stream yesterday. Guys, I was taking pictures and filming things yesterday from like 10 a.m. to 6:45. Whew. Tough day. Tough day. Streaming is such a hard job. All right. Here we go. Combat wisdom. Let me just see what like a good AoE build looks like real quick with this. Ascension for sure. Oh, this pathing is so much better. This is so much better. Oh, wait, no. Yeah. Way better. Because now Dance of Chi-Ji isn't required to get the, or Whirling Dragon Punch, right? Oh, no, you still have to get this Dance of Chi-Ji point. I guess you'll be required to have it if you don't have it, so the pathing makes more sense. You're going to have to get Rising Sun Kick damage, which is really bad to get Whirling Dragon Punch at all. It's still the only thing that doesn't make sense to me, but that's fine. Shadowboxing Shreds is in a spot that makes way more sense instead of being up here. That. Jade Ignition. We need Whirling Dragon Punch, so let's grab... Or we need this. I like all these points. Oh, interesting. So wait, what does your end tree look like? I mean, let's just go like full energy gen, right? We need like a few more points. Let's grab energy gen, energy, or just like resource management, which feels really good. Remove blackout kick or tiger palm damage. Where would you grab? I mean, you could grab Rushing Jade Wan. It's really undertuned right now. Grab Jade Ignition. Doesn't feel good though. Maybe just Courageous Impulse. Blackout kick. It's really hard. That's one's battle gear. Transfer the power. Gale Force for sure. Communing with Wind definitely. Sequence strikes, this, and then what? How many extra points do you have now? 2 more? You usually didn't have 2 before. With Condo the Celestials, by the way, Zwen's Bond makes Zwen a 1.5-minute cooldown, which is fucking crazy. Okay, I could fuck with that. And then there's an extra point to spend. Oh man, I'm going to play that on Alpha later, I think. Why wouldn't you want sequenced strikes? It feels great to use. Where the fuck is that? Where the fuck is that? Oh, here. I mean, it feels fine. It's just... It seems really low power. Like, getting a black... I mean, I guess it's more power with Courageous Impulse existing. I don't know. I would just rather have multiple other things down here. Did you see that Fluid Druid talent? Yeah, unfortunately, so the fluid druid talent is good. Fluid form. It's where shred and rake. It basically just makes it so it removes the global of shifting forms to use things. If you use mangle at any point, you just turn into a bear. If you use shred and rake, they will turn you into a cat. Right? That's super, super useful, especially if you play the hero talent, the massive. Is it not called massive attack anymore? That's so sad. But either way, definitely really cool like that. The only problem is this class tree is still monumentally cooked. It's a bad, bad tree. And I've looked at it a lot, and I think it's because they really like the idea of these columns. It's like Feral's on the left, and then Feral makes sense with Guardian, and then Guardian's right here and has this whole column, and then Resta's here and has this whole column, and Moonkin's here and has this whole column. But like you have to make so many bad choices to get things that are required. And I've looked at it a lot, and I don't have a huge solution for it other than it may just be impossibly hard to make a class tree for Druid because that's just a class with 4 specs. Right? Like I could give you a few examples. Like let's say you're a Moonkin, right? So you get Sunfire, you get the Sunfire thing, you get this. All right, so now you need what, 4 points to move down? There's a couple things that like you really, really want, right? You want like Barkskin duration increased, no brainer. Maybe you want access to Curse. But you know what you also need? Reduces all damage taken by 4%, Thick Hide. It's in the Guardian path, but let's not fool ourselves. This is required. You need this. This is not something you want. You need this 100% of the time, right? So, okay, so that means we can't really do this. That means we need to get Frenzied Regen to get Barkskin. And then we need Iron Fur, I guess. You don't really want, I mean, you're not going to really use Iron Fur. You have to either get Iron Fur or the physical damage, armor damage thing. And then, Barkskin increases all healing received by 20%. Not like required, but like really, really good. Okay, let's go a bunch of other things. Increase the range of all your spells for sure. Get that. Healing you receive required, right? You need Stampeding Roar, so you got to grab one of these. Probably Soothe the most PvE content, Stampeding Roar. Then you have some stuff down here. Here's another thing that I would say is pretty much required. Oak Skin. So let's talk about how you get Oak Skin. You want Wild Charge for sure. At least that's in a spot that kind of makes sense and something you'd want to get. But now we're going to have to spend 4 total talent points here that you would never spend in any other scenario to get something that is required. On one of the squishiest classes in the game, some defensive value. Right? You get an Absorb. All right. Matted Fur is like some kind of value. Very, very weak, but like some defensive value. Okay. But now we're going to have to spend 2 points on Rake, Mangle, Shred, and Swipe and Thrash damage by 5% to get... What? Like, what is this doing here? You know? Like, that's crazy. Okay, so... Weird. Stamina in bear form, maybe you want that. You have to spend some stuff down here. Let's grab Renewal. Let's grab the day and night healing thing. Probably most content you want Typhoon. And then you talked about fluid form, right? The people who want fluid form the most are Feral and Guardian Druids. Both of which have to take Lore of the Grove, even in scenarios where they're taking 0 Moonfire or Arcane Talents. So again, they have to waste potentially 3 to 4 points to get fluid form. So it's like, all this is super out of the way. Your crowd control is locked behind this as well. Like why are you spending this point? And again, I've thought about like how to fix it before. And it's really just... Well, you need Innervate too. So maybe Nature's Vigil, one of the last points, but... I don't really know how they fix this, but there's just a couple points that make no sense. I guess it's just pathing, right? Like, give you a better path to Thick Hide. Put Oak Skin and Fluid Form in a spot that isn't locked behind things that don't matter. And maybe, hey, because we already talked about it before, maybe these just make no sense being 2-point nodes. Maybe that's a part of it. We have this gateway 2-point node thing. Isn't that something that like most spec trees gave away with. There was one at the beginning of Dragonflight that was like this. Was it like Warrior or something like that, where you had to like commit 2 points in a spot to go below it in a certain spot, and it was all just like random stats? I don't know. I think the reason the tree has so many problems is because they're married to the idea of the aesthetic of it being like Feral, Guardian, Resto, Moonkin. But I don't know. It also poses a lot of problems. The best class trees are the ones where you get all of the things that are required fairly easily, and you're not scraping for every point to get stuff that is required, right? You basically have a bunch of points at the end to spend on what you want. Monk is exactly like this. Shaman is actually like... I think this Shaman tree is a little dated now, but for how long this tree has existed with virtually no changes... Actually, there has been a decent amount of changes, but like... it does accomplish that. Like Shaman, you end up getting everything you, in quotes, need pretty easily, and then you can kind of grab some things that are not as necessary. But Shaman one could probably use some updating. I'm not going to use that as an example. There's a lot of 2-point nodes that don't exist, but that's like the OG one. It just looks old now because it's 2 years old. It's literally 2 years old. Where like Death Knights are so fucking hard locked. I'm not gonna bore you with how long it, or like the exact talents you would take to get down to the bottom, but just know that everything you spend from here to here is all extremely impactful. It's not like some... I can give you some examples of what I'm talking about in other trees, but actually, let's not do this and do that. Okay, so now you've unlocked the bottom. Bro, you are so fucking locked down in everything you want to spend in the bottom here. It's insane. Like, it's so insane. You just, like, every single one of these points is so fucking powerful. You would give anything to have an extra one of them down here. They're so powerful. And I think ones like this actually have a lot of issues. And it's not fun either, because it's like you get down here and you just know what you're taking for the whole expansion. And there's just stuff that doesn't make sense. Right? Like, let me read these 4 things in a row. These are all in the same row, right? Like, one of the things that talent trees are supposed to do is make things on the same row, generally speaking, should be around the same power for you. There's caveats to that, but you want the decision right now to be each one of these points is different, but giving you roughly the same power. But read this shit. Death's Advance, Death and Decay, and Death Grip have 1 additional charge. By the way, Death's Advance in the expansion is most likely a 10-second Paladin Divine Steed that where you also can't be moved or slowed. Which is fucking insane, right? Okay, so compare that, and then let's look at another one. Damage taken below 30% health reduced by 35%. It's a 2-pointer node, which is kind of a problem, but even 1 point of each of these is a pretty value in a raid, right? Blood Draw. When you fall below 30% health, you drain 120% of attack power health from nearby enemies. A 2-point talent. By the way, just because you can't, like, if you don't play a Death Knight, you can't, like, picture how much that is. It's almost nothing. And then, just alone, it's bad. This could happen every 10 seconds, ICD, and it would be bad. This can only occur every 3 minutes. And this is in the capstone level of the tree. And it's competing with this stuff. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is... It's absolute nonsense that something like this exists, right? At least... Now, the thing is like, this is the exact kind of talent, at least the concept of it, that if it was a little stronger... This is an okay talent in a talent tree that allows you to have some fun choice and some flavor. Like, oh, let's say this blood draw, let's just say for the sake of argument, blood draw is 10 times better than it is, which would basically just mean it can proc more often and is a little stronger, right? You might be like, oh, I'll take that because, like, you actually get hit pretty low on this fight and there's a decent amount of ads, so, like, forget the damage, it'll just be, like, nice self-healing. Okay, that's the exact kind of point conceptually you would want in a tree where you're not super locked. And then they technically have a raid buff. I'm actually interested in what they should do with DKs in the raid buff situation. Because I remember, like, asking Ian this in an interview, and he was like, we want... The purpose of raid buffs is so your Mythic raid comp includes one of every class. It's pretty clear about that. And he said that it doesn't have to be... A raid buff doesn't have to be a 60-minute buff that puts you in the raid, right? It could be other things. I'll give you a few examples of other things. Evoker. Evoker does have a 60-minute raid buff. That button is trash. It's it's fucking useless. But you do want one Evoker in your raid group, even before AUG existed, because of the total amount of things they do. Right? So they didn't... That class, you could basically just imagine Evoker's raid buff is gone. And imagine AUG is gone. You would still bring one Evoker to every raid, in my opinion, because they do enough things, right? Like, one rescue on a fight is Zephyr, a couple of other things. Like, that's just something you're just going to want in your raid. Death Knight. Death Knight technically has a raid buff, but you can't really take it because your class tree sucks. And it's also a very low impact one. Actually, I think stuff like this is a little underrated for most guilds, but let's just say it doesn't make you do more damage, so it's not really that good. Okay, whatever. You're still bringing a DK to basically every boss of an expansion, because the hardest bosses almost always require grips, and the hardest bosses almost always require grips, and you need to have a Death Knight geared for when you get to that boss. Grips are, generally speaking, not replaceable, right? So you end up having a raid spot either way. Now, if you're a Death Knight main, you're like, that's not enough. I feel you. And you want to know some more bad news? I think they created a way to replace grip in the War Within. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't remember if it's like an engineering tinker or an item or a potion. I think it's something that takes a potion slot. And it works very similar to like Hunter's Chains in Plunderstorm. You can use it on a mob that's like 30 yards away from you, but if they or 25 yards away from you, and if they ever move 30 yards away from you, it will grip that target to you. So let's say you're a guy right here, and you use this item on this guy. There will be like a circle around your character, right? And as soon as you move to like here, it will grip this thing to your character. On assuming anything that requires grips. I don't know if that's going to go live, but as far as I'm aware, that's in the game. That's not as good as grip. It's certainly not as good as mass grip, and it's not as good as A-Bomb's Limb. But what you might see is that, and you've already seen this on a few fights, is that DPS Death Knight isn't required, but Tank Death Knight is, because Tank Death Knight just has grips that other ones don't. So there's multiple ways to solve this. Number one is just give DK mass grip, and then like DPS DK mass grip, no reason why they shouldn't have it. They've had it before in the game, and they should have it now. There's no reason. It's very similar to like it's very similar to like the enhanced shaman problem, right? Like oftentimes you end up bringing one DK to a raid, but it's just gonna be a blood DK because they have a better way to grip things. You need to bring a shaman to the raid, but you just bring an enhanced shaman because they're the only ones who know Wind Fury Totem. It's kind of a similar problem. You need to bring an evoker to a raid, but you're probably going to bring an Aug evoker because they have spatial paradox. You would have brought a feral druid to your raid, but you brought a moonkin for the last 10 years because moonkins had innervate and ferals didn't. Those are problems, right? So I think you can solve that by giving DPS DKs mass grip for sure. That's one way. Or they're going to have to actually give them a raid buff, because I think as long as that item exists, DPS DK's route to a raid is like significantly hindered. Like there are definitely fights where we brought a DK because we needed to single grip one mob. And you could absolutely just like rotate like, I don't know, like tank and healer potions to just grip things. Right? You usually aren't gripping things every 10 seconds. It's like a couple times a fight you need it. And like that would just, you would be like initially in the past, you'd be like, all right, just bring a DK GG. You don't have to think about it. And now it could be, we have another option. What is Spatial Paradox? It's a button on a 2-minute cooldown that you can use on a healer. And what it will do is give that healer 100% increased ranged and the ability to cast... Does it give them the ability to cast while moving as well? I think it's just range, right? So it's it's the ability to cast while moving and range on a 2-minute cooldown for 10 seconds. And it also gives that to the Evoker casting it as well. Which is significantly good for Evoker because they have really short range. So, it is a fucking really good and really underrated button. Well, I guess I don't know who you're talking to about it being underrated, but it's like kind of required on certain raid fights. Also, something else that I was thinking about recently while we're just yapping. I don't think preservation evokers should have less than a 40-yard range. And then if you were to ask me, well, if preservation doesn't, then I don't think Dev and Og should have it either. And then my response would be sure. They'd probably have to nerf their mobility a little bit. They're designed in a way where they have extra mobility because they have less range. That's the point. But, like, we even saw this happen this tier where preservation was really, really good. Like, preservation was really good in Amir Dursil. But we felt like we couldn't play it because of range issues on the last 2 fights. I think that's going to be true in, like, 60% of raids. Like, there's just going to... They would have to be so ridiculously overtuned to bring them with the range restriction. I don't know. I think it was an interesting cook. I just don't know if it actually makes sense. So I would say at least preservation, I think, needs to have their range increase. If you need to change them in some way because of that, go for it. But I think the gameplay hindrance of that is pretty massive. It's just... and the alternative is... You change the way raids are designed going forward for one spec, and that just seems ridiculous. Like, especially with there being so much variety between stacked and spread healing within healer specs already. I just don't think that you should make that many changes for Prez, and going forward the way it is with Prez is just going to make this spec useless. So, I don't know. They should change it. What is it? AMZ and nutty self-healing saves the day? AMZ's pretty... AMZ's become a little underrated from people because they over-nerfed this when it was a thing. When this was like... I mean, it was way too OP and then they over-nerfed it. And then they, again, specifically, can someone explain to me, they made it based off of health. Can someone explain to me why blood DKs, who already have a better mass grip than DKs for no reason, DPS DKs, why do they also have a stronger AMZ? Like, why make it scale off of your, like, it's so strange. Like, why is blood DK's AMZ just, like, twice as good? It's so strange. I don't really know what they should change about it, though. Like, it being a 20% DR on a 2-minute cooldown with no cap on it is absurd. I mean, you'd see 3 or 4 of them in every raid forever. Unless they started making a lot more physical damage attacks than they do. Currently, like, everything that kills you is magic. You could increase the cooldown, but you'd still just bring them. Is it increasing the cap? I don't know. The way it is now is certainly when you have an AMZ, it's good. I don't know. Maybe the strength of AMZ is good. I haven't thought about it. Like, you don't bring a DK because of AMZ, but that's not the point. And I think if you were bringing DKs because of AMZ, you'd bring a lot of them, and that would be problematic. I think the way it is right now is good. Maybe a little better. Maybe the way it is now, but just make it as good for tank DKs as it is for or make it as good for DPS DKs as it is for tank DKs. Which is like, what, like 40% better, something like that? How much more health does blood DKs have than DPS DKs? I mean, obviously I know like Vamp Blood increases it more, but like just generally speaking, it's probably like double, right? Or maybe less than that, 50% more. A mass AMS for the party would be cool. That's interesting. That you said that. Not interesting of an idea. That's way too broken. So AMS is actually... I don't think this is true at all levels of rating, but like... AMS is so fucking broken. It's just... I don't even know how it's existed. Like when you immune most raid mechanics, AMS works like most of the time. It's like an immunity for a raid mechanic on a 4 times shorter cooldown than any other immunity. It's fucking so insane. That's like, it's like one of the things that gives them viability. It's good that they have it. I just, mass AMS, like even on your party would be fucking atrociously broken. Speaking of that, so Shadow Meld would also be broken if it works in raids. Can anyone tell me why things like Shadow Meld work in dungeons? Like they have the tech to make it not work. Like why does it, like it's extremely powerful. Immersion? Okay. But like, I would argue that like in Mythic, no, I mean it would definitely be more broken in raid, but because Dwarf is stronger, why does Dwarf racial work in raids? Bro, why does any of that shit work anywhere? That's my point. It's too good. Like why are certain races fucking cracked and some of them do nothing? Like I think the most power a race should give you over another race is like the little like stat bonuses they have. Like have you guys ever looked at sims for races? What's like a blood mallet? I don't know. How do you look at this? Let me just pick like a random, like Windwalker, I guess. Windwalker races. Right? So, like, when you're looking at pure throughput, in my opinion, this should be what it looks like. It's, like, the same shit across the board. Like, some are slightly better than the others, but whatever. I'm totally fine with, like, the little stats they give you. Fucking whatever. But, like, the, like, human rep bonus, that's, like, mattered for power in the past. That's corny. Having Shadow Meld and Dwarf is corny. I don't know. Like, you should just be a dwarf if you want to be a dwarf. This isn't like anti-dwarf, anti-night elf propaganda. I just think it's weird that like 2 specs provide massive power bonuses and every other spec doesn't, because of things working in Mythic Plus when they don't work in Raid. Like, what is going on here? Like, why does that work? Rep bonus is getting removed. I know. Max, what do you think about making more CDs shared? Like Bloodlust and Darkness? Well, Bloodlust is... Oh, I see. I'm so stupid. When you said like Bloodlust and Darkness, I thought you were putting them together. I'm like, Bloodlust is shit. But yeah, that makes sense. That's definitely a world they could go to. I think why they wouldn't do that is like, I think having all the really powerful things in the game be only usable once. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely a world where WoW combat is designed where like you can only use one Or mastery is on a 3-minute cooldown, and even if you have 2 paladins, you can't use it. If like this is on, you know what I'm saying? Like they literally have like sated debuffs for everything. I think there's a world where the gameplay of that is really good. I think Blizzard hates that because the theme of that doesn't fit as well. It's definitely a choice they could make though. Like, I don't think people would hate it. I think it'd be potentially really fun. But also it's kind of fun to like identify certain ones of those things and bring more of them based on the scenario, right? So like the fact that you can use multiple is good. I think the idea is every class should have something really powerful and bring something to the table, but the reality is that some classes don't, right? Like demon hunters just bring darkness and other classes don't. Like how many classes have some, like, take tuning out of it, assume tuning is the same, which is a good thing to assume because it's not like demon hunters are tuned lower ever because they have darkness, right? Like, how many DPS classes can bring something as potent of raid reduction as darkness? A DPS class. Right? Rally? Old Rally, yeah. But, like, think about old Rally, right? Like, you used to look at Rally like, okay, how does this boss try to kill us? Okay, we need 3 rallies. Okay, we need 2 rallies. Oh, this happens twice every 3 minutes. You need 3 rallies, 2 rallies, whatever, right? They nerfed the fuck out of Rally, and honestly, that was a good decision. I think Rally was... DPS shouldn't have buttons that were that insane. Like, old Rally was so much better than anything any DPS could have possibly brought. Darkness is, like, very fight-specific. But it is really powerful. Like, in certain situations, the fact that a DPS player can bring darkness is fucking crazy. Mass barrier. Mass barrier in a dungeon environment feels as good as that. In raid, mass barrier is much more situational. Although, to be honest with you, it'd be a really interesting thought experiment to see, or not an experiment, like, if someone were to go through all of our Race to World first wipes and just play an alternate reality of that wipe if Fired Up never pressed mass barrier, and just see how many more individual deaths there would have been at certain spots. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is totally unrealistic, but it would just be really interesting to see. Like, yeah, mass barrier is, like, okay in raid. It only goes on 25% of the group. But, like, if used at the right time, I wonder how many deaths mass barrier saved in progression. I bet it would be pretty nice. Mass barrier during fire at cages? Is that a good use? Fire at cages, even in world first progression, if you were full health, you could not die. Like, 100% of your health could not... like, if you got hit by your shadow thing and then hit by 2 shadow things stacking on the marker and then 1 fire thing to get you out, it only did like 90% of your health. You couldn't die. And you're always high going into it. It's probably, like, in P2, it's probably on Blazes or Firestorms. What is it? Must be nice to be full health? I mean, when cages are going out on Fire Rack, there's literally no other raid damage. Like, there are exactly 4 people with Shadow, and those people just need to be topped. That's, like, super... I mean, obviously you're saying it, like... I know when you go down the guild ladder, like, people don't focus on things like that, but, like, something you focus on at this level as healers before you look at anything else is, like, who actually needs to be healed. Like, if your entire group gets hit to 10% health, but there's nothing that could kill anyone in the next 10 seconds, if you're a healer and you're casting healing spells besides something very passive, you're trolling. Like, you should be healing the most efficiently way possible. You need to do damage. There's no reason for you to be healing if nothing's going to kill anyone. But, like, in a lot of guilds, and it's the right thing to do, at that level is like you just heal the damage as soon as possible because you just want to be safe. But that's big difference in how healing is done, for sure. What is it? I mean, even Vampiric Embrace is OP in Mythic Plus. Healer can just straight AFK for 10 seconds during big pulls. I think they've honed that in a little bit, right? Like, definitely for part of Dragonflight, you felt like the off-healing that hybrid classes gained from the class and spec trees was so overpowered. But I feel like, again, I'm kind of disconnected from Mythic Plus here currently, but I feel like that's not nearly as OP as it used to be. Like, it's definitely still a thing, but like I think it's okay that that's something that gives a class power. Like if you want to bring a Shadow Priest because you think VE is good, I think that's great. I think the problem is if you bring Shadow Priest because you think VE is required. That is where all of that falls apart, is where you bring a class because one specific thing is so good. Then you obviously have to nerf that thing, which again is why, at least I think, and it's weird because I know tanks are like, I hope they don't nerf Vengeance Demon Hunter because I love having this much control. But it also is going to make you never play another tank ever again. Like, you will only play Vengeance, and, like, that's obviously a problem. But it also sucks to nerf it because, like, it's really fun. Like, it's actually just fun to have a bunch of reduction on certain spells. It's also the solution of just give every other tank that many stops is just complete nonsense. And then the whole thing where it's like, okay, as a tank, you actually like having all this responsibility. At the lower levels of the game, you don't actually see a lot of people tanking because of how much the responsibility the tank already has. So, like, adding on to that for the entire game is something that would feel good for high-level players and totally alienate new players. So, I think the only solution is to nerf Vengeance. I just hope they do it in a way that, well, I mean, it's going to sound stupid. I hope they do it right, you know, but I hope they do it in a way that doesn't nerf the fun of the class, right? I still think one of the worst nerfs I've ever seen in my entire history of playing WoW is the nerf from Season 4 Battle for Azeroth Prot Warrior, which was the best tank at the time. And their way of nerfing it was to make the class significantly less fun to play. Like, Season 1 Shadowlands Warrior was peak not fun compared to Season 4. It was actually still pretty good. We used Prot Warrior on our World First and Athreus kill. But the fun levels were fucking way worse. I don't think that class is still even as close to as fun as it was in that season. Like, having anger management reduce Last Stand, Shield Wall, Avatar, all of your like major CDs was fucking insane. It was so fun. They need to either increase threat generation of other classes or nerf Vengeance DH damage. Slowing having threat ripped off me because Vengeance DH is doing 2 times the DPS is maddening. Slowing... Oh, you're saying like having to slow DPS because of other tanks? Yeah, usually you hear it... Well, I don't know if a lot of people know this right now because every good player is probably playing Vengeance, but... most of the time... tanks can hold threat if they're playing the game well on any class. There was a couple of seasons where that wasn't true. It was like Blood Decay for a long time. Like, Blood Decay actually does pretty good AoE now, but it did famously bad AoE for years, and they always had threat problems. Yeah, Blizzard has a really hard time tuning threat without homogenizing tanks, though. Like, I actually think it's interesting that Vengeance DH wouldn't have threat issues because they had like that threat bug with Sigil Flame. I don't know if that's still a thing. Also, like, grouping mobs as Vengeance still feels like a little clunk, so I don't know. Remove tanks and make DPS stronger. What a fucking take. That is a take. Just fucking remove them. They should remove them from PvP, though. I don't even PvP, but bro, if I ever happened to wander into PvP on accident and there was a tank on the other team, I would instantly turn the game off. That person should have to, like, write an apology letter to everyone they play with. And I don't even mean when they're broken. or good, or even if they lose. Like, I don't care if they win or anything. It's just like that. You just don't do that. In an arena, at least. Max, have you seen a lot of the top keys being 4 DPS, 1 tank? I haven't looked at this season at all. Let's see. Mythic plus all run leader, or would it be all run leader? Okay, so we've done like some 29 so far. Oh, look at that. That's fucking sick. Is that for the whole dungeon? Sometimes what people will do, oh, they switch to healer after the first pull. I'm okay with that. Like, basically, you complete the run with a healer, and then you're like, okay, to do the next level, we need to remove a minute off of our time or 30 seconds off of our time somehow. How do we do that? Like, oh, could you play DPS for the first pull? Yeah, I can. Okay, that's worth it. Like, it's an innovation. I think if you did that all the time, it would kind of be interesting, but... Also, if you were constantly zoning out to do that, it would be super annoying to, like, swap back and forth. But I think just starting the key and then doing that is totally fine. Let's go. Damn, people are doing... I mean, I want to call them 29s. It's so weird to say 19s. Like, even though I get it, I know everything that changed. It's just weird. In a tall, people zone out 2 to 3 times. That is hype. Bring that up on the next Potty C and listen to Dorky's blood boil about 4 DPS. Is Dorky a 4 DPS hater? I was Fired Up actually playing the season? Oh yeah, I heard he was doing TGP with this group, right? That's pretty fun. Where's Dorky, bro? Where's Dorky Boar? Where's Porky at? There we go. Porky Havoc. Let's go, Porky. Wait, is Yips playing Shadow is Yips playing Shadow in the TGP? Or is he just gaming? Oh, by the way, you know how at the end of the last MDI, every competitor is like, I'm never doing this again, and then they like sheepishly do it the next time it comes out again? Has that process already taken place, or are all those people still under the delusion that they won't be competing in the next dungeon tournament? Nah, TGP is diff. I wonder what they're going to do next expansion, right? This expansion, they did MDI, TGP, MDI, TGP, right? I wonder if Blizzard actually splits it again. It's so weird because I feel like the momentum for the TGP has been steamrolling this expansion. Like, if you are a TGP enjoyer, like... for the first half of this expansion, it was like, holy fuck, the TGP is just way better. But then the last TGP specifically was really anticlimactic. Like, the best TGPs have like a really hype last day, and the winner is still up in the air. That's been true of basically every TGP so far. Like, where someone was in a dungeon that they could win the tournament on in every TGP, I believe, so far. Except for maybe the Plague Boar one. But that was also just a fucking racket because of that. That was so fun. But the last MDI that happened was definitely the best MDI ever. Like, it had the closest competition. The teams were all fucking huge bangers. There was 8 goddamn banger teams in the global finals. Echo losing for the first time in a while is, like, that was probably the thing people will remember the most about it. But, like, I don't know. I feel like Mandatory was no closer to Echo's skill level now than they were in, like, the first MDI. Like, I feel like either Echo or Mandatory could have won Season 1 of this expansion, and I feel like both of them could have won in the end of this expansion, too. right? So like the competition level, at least at the top, felt the same to me in both MDIs, regardless of who won. But this is a like that MDI was the viewership for that MDI was also fucking crazy. So I wonder if Blizzard is going to, because it seems like the MDI competitors and the, at least from my personal echo chamber of Twitch viewers and people that I talk to, sounds like the TGP is just better overall. But I wonder what Blizzard thinks and what they'll end up doing with that. Like, for example, do you think people would be really mad if they did another MDI TGP split for next expansion? Question, what would you guys rather see? Actually, here we go. I'm going to do a chat poll. I think I know what it's going to say. And I'm going to go charge my car because I forgot to do that last night. And grab a drink. But here, I'm going to do a little chat question here. What do you want? TGP? Only? TGP, MDI, TGP, MDI. Or... No, that's it. Just, you can only choose between those two things. Here you go. You have 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Yo, chat, how do you guys feel about cilantro? Oh, wait. Okay, wait. My chat actually... Oh, so even in my own echo chamber... You guys actually want the MDI. Look at that. 63%. Alright, I have a really weird cilantro take. Because the really popular one is like, you either love it or you have that weird taste bud thing where it tastes like soap. But it does not taste like soap to me, but I would prefer everything that has cilantro on it to just not. Like, I don't hate cilantro. I just think it adds nothing to the thing I'm eating. It's just fucking there, yeah. Even when it's in salsa? Like, I don't, like, eat salsa and I'm like, man, I just know there's cilantro in here and I hate that shit, you know? Like, I'll just eat it, but it's just there. That's all. Like, when someone... Like, here, I just made some food right now. It's like, some brown rice, chicken, some zucchini, squash. And, like, it has, like, a little ranch dressing, like a little ranch crema thing. And if I didn't... And it came with cilantro, too. But, like, I'm not going to add the cilantro on purpose. You know? Dude, I saw such a stupid YouTube short earlier, and I want you Europeans to see it. Let me see if I can find it. I found it. Here we go, chat. All right, Europeans, drink this in. Get fucking owned, by the way. Fucking destroyed. I'm getting my food. Wait, I just realized this. I saw this on my YouTube shorts earlier. And I thought it would have like a bunch of likes and stuff on it, because like why else would it be given to me in my algorithm? But like somehow the algorithm has figured out that I think miles and kilometers jokes are funny. I just realized that. This thing has 3 fucking likes. Like no one's seen this. I'll give it a little thumbs up. Make sure to like and subscribe. Oh, it's not working. All right, never mind. Fuck it. The owning part is Americans thinking that only Europeans use kilometers. Dude, you're so fucking mad, by the way. You're so mad. You've been steaming since I've got up from my chair. All right, Max, have you spent yeah, Max, you spent an entire world race screaming about miles and kilometers? Yeah, but like, how does the algo know that? Is it listening? I'm not. It's just funny. Bro, you're so mad. You're fucking pissed. All right. You have literally a shirt that says miles, inches, cups. Yo, speaking of a shirt, have you guys seen that Liquid has a... Is this actually our website? Liquid GG? Nope. Liquid.com. Have you guys seen... We released a new collection today that I got a hella amount of clothes for. Look how much shit they sent me, by the way. Because I didn't get anything from the last couple collections. They did like a Death Note collection. I was like, yo, hook me up. This is the thing I'm wearing today. I'm wearing this shirt under it. We got all this. Look at this shirt right here. That is clean. We got the corduroy. This is where you guys can check it out. I think there's a link that works in chat. Let me double check. Let's see if Frank made it. Do you guys think Frank made my chat thing? Wait, what is the thing supposed to be? Oh wait, it's literally just exclamation point Star Wars. He did it! Dude, Frank's such a beast, bro. Wait, this website is blinding. 1 second. Oop, wrong extension. Wait, it's on. Bro, Team Liquid is blacklisted from it being dark mode. That is so sad. All right, here we go, boys. Star Wars villains. We got the Darth Vader keycap set. We got the Dark Side keycap set. Look at these hoodies. Wait, is that Aya? Yo, Aya's looking sinister. Why does she look like she's about to commit crimes? I guess that's the whole point of I guess that's the whole point of this set, huh? Is being evil and shit. I haven't seen people. I didn't model for this at all, so I won't be on here, which is good. I hate taking pictures of stuff, man. I'll try to get out of that as much as I can. We got the jerseys. We got the Boba Fett. See, now, chat, I got these, as you can see in my picture. Where's my my tweeter here? They're right here. I don't know if I can pull these off. Do you guys think I could pull these off? I don't think so. Like, what would I don't think I've ever worn camo pants in my life. Let's see. You can with the Boba shirt? Wait, which one? It's like either one of these? Yeah, they do kind of go together. I'll try it one day, and y'all can make fun of me if I look like an idiot. Oh, wait, they did a cloak. They're sold out of the cloaks? Wait, apparently you can still get a small, medium. Okay. Can I pull off the cloak, though? How do you wear a cloak? See, like, right here, Nikki looks really cool. In, like, a picture, but, like... Is it like a... Like, can girls pull it off? Like, could you guys see a guy wearing this and being like, wow, that guy looks cool? I don't know. I think that might be hard. But it seems like it's popular. It fucking sold 1 million of them, so I'm dumb as hell. Hungry Box looks cool and everything. Dude, kind of true. You know, people get me and him mixed up a lot. I don't think we look that alike. Oh, dude, Atlas modeled for this. I didn't know that. Look at this. Do they have him show? Yo. Yo, with the stash, though? Oh, my God. It's looking good. Let's go, Atlas. Oh, and these pants. Yo, or these shorts. Highly recommend. I don't know how to describe it, but these shorts are thick as shit. And that's worth it. Oh, yeah. Are you guys keycap guys? Like, I'm not talking like the key set. Like something like this. I got this too. Are you a keycap guy? Like or a keycap girl, I suppose. Is it like an escape key thing? Is that what these are for? I mean, here's what I'm going to guess. Liquid makes a ton of these in every set. So people have to use them. Or else, like, why would you make them? Maybe the margin on it's really good. The question is, what's the coolest desk mat, though? So, my vote is this. My only concern is I've never had a white mouse pad before, and unless you're really clean, I feel like that could get out of hand fast. So maybe it's one of the darker ones. Like, that goes hard. Maybe it's this one. Wait, I don't know if they sent me this one. I kind of want this. Oh, no, I think no, I didn't get this one. Or these. And I really wanted these. I'm going to throw a fit. Oh, these look really good. I'm going to throw a fit. When are we getting Potty C merch? Okay, what would you guys even want, though? What do you want to see in Potty C merch? Just a shirt that says Pod High on it? You guys want a Potty C cloak? A dorky cat plushie? Wait, actually, I think that would sell really well. What about, hear me out, full-size dorky body pillow? Bro, imagine you like have a partner and you came home and you were like, by the way, I'm going to be sleeping with this body pillow from now on as well. And they aren't familiar with like any of us, and they're just like, what the fuck is that? What is going on here? A full-size max body pillow? Nah, no one will buy that. People buy the dorky one. Anyways, make sure you guys check this out. Exclamation point Star Wars in the chat. If you guys like Star Wars and you like Liquid, it's a good value. I think a lot of this stuff looks really cool. Definitely, what are my 3 favorites? It's got to be this. This just looks so cool. The color scheme, the little icon, looks insane. This is my favorite one by far. So that's number 1. Number 2 is like this shirt, or probably these 2 shirts, honestly. I just love the color too, because they're not white. They're like, what's the color? Cream or beige or something. It looks really good. All right. Hell yeah. All right, we need to. I have my food, so we do need to find a Reacto video, and we're not. Unfortunately, we're not going to be reacting to my own podcast. Let's see what we got here. Let's go YouTube. Let's go Warcraft. I thought it was Warcraft. Blizzard Entertainment is a suggestion? No, 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 no. If I just search for Warcraft, maybe it'll just show up. Nope. How do you search for, like, what are these things up here? What are these called? Tags? I like how Drake is the second one. Gotta look at your Drake reactions. What is, how do you search for a tag? Like, usually when I type Warcraft, that's exactly what I want to see. But, like, I have to just hope it shows up here. But I only look at it on stream. So, maybe World of Warcraft, The War Within, but that's, like, very specific. Oh, this actually looks pretty close to maybe what I'm looking at. Ooh, I am interested to see what Jack thinks of the Archon healer talents, because I thought that Archon was good for Shadow, because it, like, but it's purely gameplay related. Like, just having big cooldowns is super powerful and at worst situational, and that's a very good thing, purely gameplay, to oppose Voidweaver. But Voidweaver's theme, I think, is cooler, and I'm interested in what kind of theme priests will feel like from Archon. Like, first of all, I haven't played Archon on the beta. Well, I think I did briefly. But, like, does the visuals make your cooldowns feel better? Like, as a holy priest, do you feel like you're a big blaster? In fact, if I remember Archon, I think my impression of Archon was... I didn't think a lot of this felt awesome for Holy, but the right side felt good. Creating a Halo grants a Surge of Light, so every minute you get 3 Surge of Light procs. It increases Flash Heal with Surge of Light by 30, and then consuming Surge of Light reduces the cooldown of Sanctify by 4 seconds. This little line of 3 things for Holy Priest felt... that just sounds really good. But the rest of it didn't seem... great. Or like Power Infusion, right? You don't care about your haste thing. But also, like, what does being an Archon mean? Like, what is the visual? Is the visual that you have 3 halos go off? Like, Voidweaver is a very clear theme and a very clear look. But like, how does, you know, let's actually, do we care what healers think? Wait, Bellular ranked hero talents? Usually not a Bellular guy, but that is, I'd be interested to see how Bellular's opinion differs from mine. Let's do it.
What I'm going to do is take you...
Let's do it. Let's do it.
on a quick tour of hero talents and answer the question, did your class win the hero talents roulette? Did you get something cool, something fun, something fantasy defining, or do you have a stack of passives that you'll
We'll see how he's even ranking them, because he might be ranking them purely based on theme, but I mean, that's interesting if you know that he's doing that, right? Dude, God, you guys are really not Bellular fans. You guys, we're just gonna watch the video, right? Clear your biases beforehand. We're gonna see what's up here. We're just chilling out. It's certainly not gameplay. Like Bellular is probably not the guy to like have played all the specs on alpha and like could tell you whether the gameplay for the specs are good. Like that's probably not him. I think maybe I'm not familiar with his game. Maybe that is him. I'm just not. I actually know almost nothing about him. So, oh no, he has fucking like a credits scene? Yeah. He has like fucking credits at the end of his YouTube videos. Which low-key, I don't know anything about this guy. The credits make me really mad. I don't know why. It's just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, not the special thanks. Those are probably people supporting him, but like the fucking credits, like, God, get the fuck out of here. Okay. But yeah, maybe he had someone actually do it for him. So I don't know. Anyways, let's look at the intro.
You'll see some nice shiny spell effects as well. But first, you'll see today's sponsor.
ZBiotics is the world's first bioengineered probiotic for rough post-night out mornings. It is a treat.
We're definitely skipping
and
that.
I was really
Okay.
surprised with how much I was able to get done the next day. So ultimately, I'm happy to add this as a tool to my belt. And if you're interested, go to zbiotics.com/Bellular or just
Timestamp was wrong.
Without money back experience myself.
Could
The
add
other
someone
reason
to
why
the
I went
credit
with them
sequence
is that
to do
they
that.
do have a 100% zero questions asked money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will just refund all of your money back without asking any questions. zbiotics.com/Bellular. Use the code Bellular for 50.
Dude, this timestamp is so wrong.
Tips and watching animations, devising a rating system, and of painstakingly cramming her.
Whoa. Okay. So let me hear this again.
With that said, let's go.
So, after a few days of painstakingly cramming our brains full of tooltips and watching animations, devising a rating system, and putting it all
This is
into
gonna be a great
spreadsheet,
video.
It's time.
They actually put in the work. This is fucking sick. Let's just see what we agree with or not. That's all. It's fucking great, chat. Y'all are fucking haters.
To go. So I'll be going through the major winners, the drastic losers, in the form of a tier list because it's the modern day, and honestly, I think they're kind of useful. Now, we're mostly focusing today on class
Yeah, tier list
fantasy,
fucking own.
the cool factor, how things feel to play with, the actual in-game strength and balance. That will change so much from alpha to live that there's really no point in talking about it now, anyway, but we will later. Let's start with the big one. What is the best hero talent?
Before he says the biggest winner, I don't know if it's a specific hero talent, but if the answer isn't mages, the answer is wrong. At least if it's talking about a class, or even a spec that can choose two different ones, in which case Ret would be an argument in my opinion. But I mean, it's like mage is the big winner here for
That
sure.
in the game, and
Maybe Evoker too. I feel like Devastation Evoker has two
honestly,
really cool
it's
ones.
barely even a question because it's Void Weaver Priest. We've actually had two people.
Okay, so he picked a specific hero talent, and I'm not opposed to this. The biggest winner is a kind of a stretch. It's definitely really good. Let's hear their take.
In our guild, re-roll Shadow Priest just because of how cool this looks. For Shadow and Disc, you basically get to lean into a new cosmic void effect by opening an entropic rift, turning one of your abilities into Void Blast to extend it, and you can summon a Void Wraith. It leans into all of the cool stuff about Void. Everything looks and feels pretty damn good to you.
It is. I mean, he ain't fucking wrong, bro.
Too, and it's just a perfect example of what a hero talent can be. It expands the existing class fantasy to take it to the next level, and it just looks kind of amazing. There are some gameplay concerns that need to be ironed out, like the rift duration and how that plays with Void Eruption and some other talents, and I guess my feedback for Blizzard would be that when something gets a glow up like this, that's actually when you can start to get a lapsed player to re-up their sub. Okay.
Yeah, I think there are people who are going to play the War Within. Like, dude, honestly, I feel like they could totally fuck up gameplay on every single hero talent. Like, it's literally horrible, like, as bad as it could be. And I still think that a ton of people would come back to WoW because they made hero talents. And, like, the visuals and stuff. I think that's right.
We've done the best. What's the worst, then? Unfortunately, at least to us, the worst is Pack Leader for Beast Mastery and Survival Hunter.
I kind of fuck with this answer. Like, it's not, I think there's some worse ones. But, like, it is crazy that Pack Leader seems like such an obvious slam dunk for theme, right? Like, you already have, like, the BM theme, but it just should be that plus more. But, like, when you play Pack Leader, you don't feel anything. And it's not like the gameplay. It is like the one. If you were to say which hero talent so far is the most nothing, in that it is just adding nothing to theme and also adds nothing to gameplay, it is this.
The fantasy isn't different to playing a regular hunter. It doesn't really summon any new animals despite its name, and all it really does is add some passive bonuses and extra resets to Barbed Shot, Raptor
Dude, he's
Strike,
kinda cooking.
and Kill Command, right? Just throws that into your rotation, which honestly to us just made it feel a bit busier. There was no pacing, just buttons flashing on top of each other. It's not terrible, but it just feels like very, very, very little compared to the amazing things that some other classes are getting. That said, let's talk about the really good stuff. Death Knight's Rider of the Apocalypse doesn't do a huge amount for gameplay, but experientially
Exactly right.
it's amazing because you have mounted combat outdoors. You are doing quests on your mount. It is sick.
And what's the main one?
That's all while abilities are summoning in your 4 mates from Arcturus, the 4 horsemen. It's honestly just a joy to like drop a Frostworm or summon in Army of the Dead.
Yeah, I mean, this he's exactly right. This is, if you have played DK ever and you like DK, you consider whether you've played WoW in the past and you haven't played in a while and you consider WoW or you consider Death Knight like your class. If you were to come back, you were to play Death Knight, I think a large majority of those people that have the time will come back and play WoW because Rider of the Apocalypse exists alone. Mounted combat, spawning you're the fucking 5th horseman. Holy fuck.
And watch the foremost.
And the gameplay of this is so funny. The gameplay of Rider of the Apocalypse is like nothing. Like, basically nothing. Besides the mounted combat thing. That's kind of huge. But you can't do that in raids and dungeons. The gameplay of Rider of the Apocalypse is not really anything. It's just fucking cool. And that's fine.
Here's some Death Knights in game. Just start wailing in your opponent, each in their own way. You get some cooldowns being reduced and generally just passive boosts from your horsemen. But basically here, it's the fantasy that is giving this the S rank. And that's especially when, if you're in a raid or a dungeon and therefore can't mount, what it does is it replaces Death's Advance with a better version of the Paladin's Divine Steed. Of course, maneuverability has been a bit of a long sticking point. The idea of a Death Knight is they don't move quick, but you basically can't stop them. Well, here, you can certainly move quick more, so I think people will love that.
Yeah. It's crazy. That node that gives you outdoor mounted combat, which will be a huge thing to bring people back to the game, the alternative to that node, the choice node, is the thing that makes Death's Advance turn you into a paladin horse. Is that the most broken movement / utility talent on anyone's hero talent tree? The ability to turn Death's Advance into a 10-second Divine Steed. Like, that's fucking insane. Insane. Crazy.
The next one then is what I was most recently playing in Alpha, and that is the Templar Paladin. If the word Templar doesn't make you reach for your great helm and your...
Guys, he's fucking cooking. He's not... You guys are like, this guy has bad takes. Everything he's saying so far is true. He has not said a single wrong thing yet.
Heretic bludgeoning mace. You're not a real Paladin player. But in WoW, Templars rain down hammers from the heavens. What it does is it makes Wake of Ashes and Eye of Tyr become combo...
Wait, it's because he has riders? Okay, I can only respect you guys, man. You guys are actual real haters. Like, this is not fake hate. This is, like, real hate. You guys just don't fucking like this guy. It's like, dude, you guys are like... Before, he's like, he has bad takes. And then I'm like, okay, well, his takes are all right. And you're like, he had someone write it for him. Dude, just the instant dismissal of that was just fucking... That's some of the highest level hate I've ever seen. That is fucking crazy.
Attacks with Hammer of Light.
You guys take
now,
that shit
Hammer
seriously.
Hammer of Light costs 5 holy power, and it does a ton of damage, right? It looks awesome. I mean, you do your Wake of Ashes, and then immediately hammers are raining from the sky. When swung, what it does is it grants a chunk of haste, and it starts Shake the Heavens. And Shake the Heavens just has hammers fall on your enemies while you're keeping it up. It sounds cool, it looks cool, it decimates packs of mobs, and on top of that, you get another 2 extra seconds of move speed on your Divine Steed, which, yeah, is pretty awesome. Druid of the Claw, good news, it's a winner. Feral and Guardian get the best fantasy that there is, being pre-Mists of Pandaria Druid, essentially.
Actually, I don't think this has been talked about enough. I think it's true.
So cats get bonus damage for a while in bear form, and bears get bonus survivability and bonus damage for a few seconds in cat form, and that lets you weave between them in combat. And that is on top of a new proc that replaces their spender with a bigger, better attack called Ravage, and a bunch of smaller, nicer changes. Essentially, you're getting proper hybrid power, but in a way that is not going to wreck the game's balance. It basically just gives you a lot of ways to pop off and essentially show your mastery over the full Druid toolkit without needing Heart of the Wild to be up. It is really cool. It basically just makes your gameplay
It is sick.
feel way more druidy. Warlocks then, you guys are getting a great time with Diabolist. Might
Guys, he's fucking cooking.
not be the best name, but it plays awesome. So Destro and
He's
Demo
cooking.
get bonus demons everywhere, with summoning timers that you decrease by throwing out more spells. So you're summoning in a Pit Lord or a Mother Shavara, and that would give your next casts basically new animations, new icons, and new effects. So it basically does make you feel like some sort of big legendary warlock. It's pretty sweet. Finally, for our winners then, mages. You guys actually get two that are worth writing home about. So, Frostfire.
I'm assuming they're going to say the two are Sun Fury and Frostfire. Those are probably the two coolest ones. The other one's really good and has a lot of gameplay synergy, but I would say Frostfire and Sun Fury are... See, I don't even know if the gameplay is any better on Frostfire or Sunfire. Just both of them, to me, my opinion, just seem cooler. They just seem cooler. Like, I don't know. Frostfire is actually one of my favorite aesthetic of any mage or sorcerer. Like, if that's available in an ARPG, I will play that every single time. Yeah, and Fire has both of those, right? Yeah, Fire mages. Who would have guessed, by the way?
Gives Frost a bunch of fire effects, and it gives Fire a bunch of Frost effects. Just look at Frostfire Bolt. This thing looks amazing, and the instant proc of it that maxes out your new buffs is really
Shout out.
fun. And just having Living Bombs and Ice Novas, Meteors, and Comet Storms just going off like
Yeah, it just looks
mad.
sick.
Honestly, it just feels absolutely amazing. You do feel like a very, very powerful mage. Just the spell effects, the way that the Frost and Fire stuff looks together. Yeah, it's just experientially very strong. What's next for the mages is really cool. Now, a lot of the best hero talent trees, they're making you feel stronger, and they're pushing your class forward into feeling a bit
Didn't he say he was going to do this in tier list format?
better and a bit different. Some, though, like the Sun Fury
He hasn't
tree,
done that
are
at
just
all,
giving you
right?
what
Unless he's doing like winners and losers and then I guess putting them
you
in a
wanted
list
for 20
after.
years. In this case, it's Kel'Thas, one of the more iconic mages in Warcraft, where you see his, his balls that are floating around his head doing magic things, and summoning in phoenixes. And the Sun Fury mage is that exactly.
There are
and it
ranks
owns.
at the bottom
You
left, but
summon
you're
in
covering
an arcane
it.
phoenix that fires off massive spells.
Oh, yeah, but it's like you don't see it in the list.
It buffs
Yeah, I
the
guess you're
hell
right.
out of you, and that's all as you're launching spells out of your spellfire orbs that are floating around your head. It's really cool. Arcane and Fire Mages should both get a lot of joy out of this one, actually. It makes your already pretty crispy burst windows even more crispy, and when the Phoenix goes out, it goes out in flames, giving you a massive proc for a few seconds of damage. Overall, it just comes together really well, and in both cases, I think these are nailed.
What does he play in WoW, chat? What does Bellular play? Actually, what am I fucking doing? I am just asking the people in my chat who clearly fucking hate this guy to just say he doesn't. Yeah, there we go. He plays Priest Healer. Guys, I fucking respect your hatred, by the way. It's crazy high levels of hate. Healing Priest. So I wonder if he went on there and played Fire Mage or if he's reading off a script of someone who gave him notes on who did. But either way, they've been correct so far. So whoever's, we'll check the credits.
Nailing the fantasy. So that's the best of the best. That's the S tier stuff, the winners. What then about the losers? Well, unfortunately, Hunter is not to bully you.
He plays his audience into thinking he's good at the game. Does he? Is that the aesthetic he's trying to give off? He's trying to tell his audience he's good at the game? I don't think so. I don't think he's trying to make that argument. And also, I don't think that matters at all. Like I think having takes on WoW and being good are completely separate. They don't mean anything. All right, here we go.
Guys, but the Sentinel tree is also pretty lacking.
Dude, you guys are fucking haters, man. I love it. Holy shit.
It is very race focused, with Arcane Sentinel Owls being a night elf thing. Bit weird for orcs or
Real hate.
Taurens summoning in those. I mean, if you're a night elf hunter, it'll certainly fit, but I just think the fantasy isn't really applicable across everyone who can be a hunter. And as for the gameplay, it's just a stack of passives that are based around, well, stacking up a passive and watching it explode. Now, the Lunar Storm proc looks pretty great, but that's kind of all it's got going for it. A little bit weak. Next up, we've got monks. So you can
What is it? I've never gotten the hate Bellular gets. I mean, I think it's just like some people don't like some people. There's people who don't like me, right? But a lot of people will say like he makes clickbait YouTube titles. I think that is like Not even a real criticism. You want to know why? Because all of your favorite YouTubers do that too. The only reason you would point that out as a negative about someone is if you just already didn't like them. Right? Which is what I'm saying. It's like, this stuff that you guys are saying is just top tier hater shit.
You guys do get some good stuff, but sadly, Shadowpan for Windwalker and Brewmaster is, well, it's just a bit sad, really. They essentially
You know
store
what?
charges for...
I fucking agree. I fucking agree with this. He has Shadowpan ranked pretty low. Hopefully he shows the list at the end. Yeah, Shadowpan doesn't feel like anything. You play it, it's actually good. Like, it's strong, and it feels good because it's strong, but, like, you could just completely ignore the fact that you're playing it. It would never occur to you, and the visuals don't exist.
For their Flurry Strikes proc, but that's kind of hard to notice amongst all of the different and better animations they're throwing out all the time, and the Wisdom of the Wall capstone proc doesn't really sell the fantasy of being a Shadowpan. I just think it's personally a bit disappointing, especially since characters like Taran Zoo, well, they went hard. So I definitely think this one could be cooking a bit.
What is it? I just think it's cringy when content creators that don't really play the game anymore critique it and clickbait it like they have some insane new take to save WoW. Yeah. I mean, that sounds entirely reasonable to me. That might be a based. I completely agree with you, by the way.
Next, Evoker, where the good news is that Scale Commander does go kind of hard, but it's
He does play it, though. Yeah, he's probably referring to... That's usually an anti-Asmongold statement.
Imagine people getting excited about Flame Shaper. Playing it...
But, like, I mean, those takes make sense. Like, even if you don't play a game, it makes sense for you to say the reasons of all the things you would change in the game, and then if they change those things, you would maybe come back, because all those people who quit would want to come back if the game was what they wanted it to be, you know? So it's like, it's not, they're allowed to have those takes. The issue is with Asmongold is that he's so big on Twitch that, like, those takes just get, you see them everywhere, and then people assume he's, like, professing it because of his editors. Like, basically, someone will ask him a question, he'll give an answer. That's what everyone in this chat would do if they were in the same position. And then his editors will be like, here's how to fucking save WoW. And then everyone responds to it being that, like, you know, final. And then everyone just talks, you know. That is literally just because he's popular. There could be a 200 viewer streamer that hasn't played WoW in forever and says the exact same crazy ass shit, and no one would ever talk about it, and it doesn't matter. It's literally just because of his size.
Is pretty
and mostly his editors.
Nice. It's a focus.
His editors actually so discourse insane.
The red side of devastation and preservation, with dots and hots being engulfed in flame, but it's kind of just that mechanically. The Scale Commander fantasy just feels non-existent.
His size? Come on, guys. You can't be that horny. Come on. I mean, look, if you listen to a lot of people's takes who haven't played WoW, they're going to be more scorched earth. And if you listen to takes of how to, in quotes, save the game from people who play WoW, first of all, they're not going to be as extreme, because if you're still playing it, maybe you don't think it needs to be saved. But also, you're not, like for example, going Scorched Earth is a really easy suggestion for someone who isn't playing the game. You want to know why? Because none of the consequences apply to you. It's like, hey, change all these things to what I want, even though that would set us back years. Because I'll just play in a few years, and I wouldn't have lost any time in the meantime. Meanwhile, everyone who's playing the game would have to deal with the consequences, you know, which is why the opinions are so different.
So it's not bad, but it's not great. I think that's just what C tier really means. And our last C tier is the Paladin's Lightsmith. Now, the idea of making weaponry forged out of the light is pretty cool, say a bit niche, and it basically works as a spell with 2 charges.
This shit stinks.
Charges on a 1-minute cooldown.
Hard
it cycles
stinks.
between Holy Bulwark and Sacred Weapon, giving you a shield or damage buff. And essentially, it's not bad, but it just doesn't really stand out as something that you would be very hyped to log in for, or to level up and attain in the new expansion. I'll definitely be going Templar. Next then, there's a few other misses like Rogue's Trickster, which is a niche fantasy that asks you to use Feint in combat to get some procs. It's got an upgraded finisher that doesn't really...
I mean, what is it? You don't have to have constant takes on content you do not do? I mean, I could definitely see that. Like just imagine someone of, like, I'm trying to think of an example here. If someone with, like, massive size that constantly made comments about another game, It would be very normal, and obviously I have no idea what they're talking about because I don't like I try to avoid having confident opinions on things I don't fully understand. You know, I like to like avoid them or just make some shit up for fun, right? But like if you are like, imagine you're so big that like it's a game you don't even play, but you talk about it all the time, and then that community just keeps hearing snippets of your stream of you saying stuff about that game. They're probably gonna fucking hate you, and that's basically Asmon's relationship with a lot of retail people.
Feel upgraded, so I'm not sure about that. Next is the Druid's Windstalker, which is trying to mix the Resto Hots and Feral Dots together, which does seem smart in terms of in-game systems, but it just doesn't really have the vibe, the feel to come together and really be worthy of the name Hero Talent, so it does end up being a little bit of a loss for me. So, those are the winners and the losers, at least for now. There are, though, still 2 missing from Rogue and Shaman, 1 from Priest as well, so our 4
Show the whole
Heavenly
list.
Hero Talent Kings right now
Show
are
the whole
Mage,
list.
the Death Knight, the Priest, and the Warlock, but those may not hold their seats when we're done, because there are other things to come out, and many changes may still happen. And I mostly say that because Stormbringer and Fatebound actually sound amazing, but then so does Archon. Okay, so that's where things are right now. And if we didn't mention your class or your spec, basically rest easy, you're probably in the middle. Today, we're just kind of taking the most interesting, visually flashy, sort of, fun to play or not fun to play things, like the biggest takeaways from the alpha. We'll be going way more in depth as time goes on. This is essentially the summary of our most notable things from like 2 weeks.
There's no list? Okay, so it's not like a Hero Talents ranked. It's just a... We're going to talk about 5 good ones and 5 bad ones. Okay. I have a few questions. Number 1 is he wearing a raincoat? Nah, looks like just like
Hero
a
Talent
jacket.
Kings.
But the collar makes it look raincoaty. It's probably not raining in there. That's fine. Maybe a little windy bee. Wait, what do you mean members only?
But anyway, that's it from me. Let me know if you're excited for these, of course, and stay tuned because
Premium.
we'll
Oh, these
have
are
a
probably
video up
Patreon.
tomorrow. We're going pretty damn hard in War Within. All right, have a great day.
Let's go, Brian Boner. Look at that. What a fucking name. Jesus Christ. Max, you can go to 231. There's a spreadsheet. Okay. Here we go. So he said... Let's look at Rider the Apocalypse. Fantasy rating 5, gameplay rating 4. Wait, so this is rating out of 5? Okay, my opinion. How do you give Rider the Apocalypse a gameplay rating of 4? Let's see. Fantasy super strong, but gameplay benefits are entirely passive and hard to notice mechanically. How is that a 4? That you're just saying that there is no gameplay benefits at all. They're entirely passive and you don't notice them, but then you ranked it a 4 out of 5. It's not out of 10. The score is out of 10 for some reason. Oh, I guess it's just an addition of the 2 numbers, but that's interesting. Okay, Sandlane. Well, let's see what the fantasy ratings of 5 were. Templar, yup. They put Mountain Thane as 4. Bro, Colossus would be a 5 in fantasy, and it's so easy, bro. Just make you fucking huge. You're not nearly big enough. Like, keep making Colossus bigger every week until someone's like, okay, that's a little excessive. You know? Like, I want to... That, how do you... Come on. Let's see. Fantasy rating of...
System and putting it all
Oh, shit. Fantasy rating of Scale Commander. Fantasy might not be for everyone, but the execution of it owns. Bombardment's visual and audio is great. Gameplay minor shakeup at best. I mean, the fact that you can mass disintegrate isn't... I mean, I'm not going to argue with Scale Commander. That one fucking owns. Hard owns. Surprised it didn't get mentioned in this video, actually. Okay, they gave Trickster a 2 on theme. What else got a 2 on theme? Pack Leader? Yup. Facts. Gameplay 2. Chrono Warden. Wait, how is Scale Commander gameplay of 3? Your disintegrate now is 3 target cleave. That's fucking... That changes the whole prospect of your class. Right? And changes you swapping your builds around a lot. I feel like that's massive. Also, can't you, like, fucking skirt in your deep breath, too? Skirt, 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 skirt. Okay. Deathbringer. What's one where the fantasy needs to be better? Let's see. Conduit. Okay, so how is Shadowpan Fantasy a 3? What is the Shadowpan Fantasy? Shadowpan Fantasy is cool. How so? What is the fantasy? Because you don't look like a Shadowpan guy. It's just that it's called that? Okay. Type. Okay, I actually think Condo the Celestial's gameplay is significantly higher than 3, too. Wait, I want to see if they fixed it. I'm going to log on Alpha and see if they fixed it. So what's supposed to happen is during the Yulon buff of your Condo the Celestial's tree, which is... It increases the cooldown rate of all of your major spenders and just buttons, like all of them, by... oh, I don't have a monk set up. I don't, do I? I mean, I can... I don't need to set it up crazy. I need to press, like, 3 buttons. Cool. Is Fist of Fury now also 50% faster on Alpha during Celestial? Wait, delete the character, then give it the same name? Wait a second. You might be cooking. Oh, I hit exit game. I am not cooking. God, I'm so stupid, man. All right, so the... I've been disconnected. What the fuck? Okay. So what? My character's name is Punch Kick Guy. That's the last guy I have set up. Okay, so I delete him. And then I just make a monk. We'll make him even Volpera too. Same shit. And we name him Punch Kick Guy. And then we log in. Something tells me it's not going to be exactly the same. Even though it's literally transferring the same files, it'll keep the macros. It'll keep the keybinds. I doubt it keeps the button position. I was right. Let's fucking go. I love being right. All right, let's do, the dragon riding shit doesn't matter. I literally just want to get my hero talents. I'm going to pick a bunch of random shit here. Just choice nodes, just no choice nodes, so I don't have to do anything like that. Just so I can actually select conduit. I lied about the choice node thing. Hard lied. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to pick another one. We're good. Conduit. Okay, and Spectre. I don't think I need any specific stuff here. Nah. Ah. Fuck, I'm just making a good one anyway. Log it. Absolutely fuck it, who cares? Cool. Alright, here we go. All I need to do is go to the target dummies here. And I need to see if Fist of Fury channels faster. During the conduit buff. So all we gotta do is this. It does. Oh, the gameplay is so good. Guys, Conduit of the Celestials gameplay feels fucking incredible. It's so good. It's so good, man. Alright, we're not going to spend a lot of time on that, though. It will feel so good to actually have a defensive on a non-shitty timer. What do you mean, for who? On Monk? Not Monk, right? Oh, do you mean Fortifying Brew? Just not being a 6-minute cooldown? Yeah. The question is, do you want Fortifying Brew on a 1.5-minute cooldown? Or would you rather have it on a 2-minute cooldown, but it's 30% health and damage? It's probably fight dependent, but I think you're going to choose the reduced cooldown 90% of the time. Because, very simply, when you press Fortifying Brew, the goal is to not die. Reducing healing doesn't really matter. The goal is to not die. And you will not die with a 20% health and 20% DR. That is a massive buff. That's a fucking thick-ass buff. Like, that's a very strong personal. Alone. Like, the reality of you would have lived with Iron Shell Brew instead of that is, like, just so specific that it'll almost never happen. Max, do you agree with the Bellular video scoreboard overall? In parentheses, sorry for my English. Your English was great, buddy. You don't have to worry about that. That was exactly right. I don't know. He doesn't really have a scoreboard. He has a bunch of... I disagree with a lot of things. He said Ryder had a 4 of gameplay, but then said right after that the gameplay benefits are entirely passive and hard to notice mechanically, but then gave it almost the highest score, which makes no sense. Like, that's just made up number because he likes it, I think, which is fine, by the way. The reality here is probably that the fantasy rating is actually above a 5, and they gave it gameplay rating higher to make up for that. And there's a couple other things. I think they're wrong about Conduit gameplay. I think they're wrong about Shadowpan theme. And the rest of it's pretty bright, I think. Somewhere around there. I don't know. Why is this the brightest screen I've ever seen in my life? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. What have I done? Do shamans really not have all their talents released? No, there's a few hero talents still remaining. Which, by the way, isn't a bad thing. Like, I know you guys want it now. You want your stuff and you want it now, but the later classes to receive their... Like, the later you got your talent trees in the Dragonflight Alpha, the more quality they were, generally speaking. It also ended up being, like, kind of a boomerang effect, though, because the classes that came early that were really bad, ones got remade earlier, and now those are even better than yours, but them being later isn't bad. That doesn't mean that they're going to be good. It just, at least... I mean, I think it's just logical to assume that it means that they are more likely to be good. Because they're just simply going to learn lessons based on feedback and reception of the ones that they've made and what they've done bad or good. And I think that the ones later will just... They're just going to be better at making them by the time they make them, you know? The only issue I see with shamans is you're going to have two options, right? Let's say you're an Ellie shaman. you're going to play Stormbringer, which is probably purely going to be, and they've even stated this, for like the storm side of your tree, the nature damage side of your tree, which alienates a lot of talents. And the Farseer one, I think, went into that. It's like increases the damage of everything by 8%. You get something instant, but it's like not necessarily elemental. So like hopefully here's how they do this well is that Farseer lets you play Storm or Ellie, right? Or like it definitely, at the very least, elemental shaman, like fire Ellie shaman, needs to be like competitive with Farseer. But it had to share with Resto, so like clearly Resto got the bulk of the theme here. And Stormbringer is like, all right, we have to make a hero talent for both shaman DPS specs. What do they both have in common? Okay, they both have a like storm. They both have like a storm setup. Okay, well, let's make Stormbringer then. The only issue is that both of those playstyles, especially for like enhance, are extremely different. And what happens if you just end up playing Storm the whole expansion because there just is a Storm hero talent and there just isn't an elemental one? You know? It's weird. What the fuck is that tree? It's just some wowhead nonsense. That's not. This isn't actually how it works. Max, if he is talking about the old conduit before they changed the nodes, would you agree? They didn't change any nodes. I don't think. Right? What nodes did they change? Same. Oh, literally just the Fist of Fury thing? I don't know if that would be a full... No, it actually probably would be a full point. Like, the gameplay of this is really good. Strong. It's great. It's actually pretty much only because of this, but this is great. Wait, Blizzard has stated that Stormbringer was going to be centered around being a lightning caster. Doesn't that exclude the physical build? Oh, interesting. Was the verbiage actually lightning and not... I guess you might be right. Because, like, both specs use, like obviously lightning bolt and chain lightning. But, like, Ellie, the elemental build also usually plays Ellie Blast. For enhance. Where the fuck is Ellie Blast on here? Or is that baked now? That should get baked or what? Or is this spec tree just super cooked? I think the spec tree is very cooked. Oh, maybe hot take. I think Lashing Flames stinks. I think there are a few people who play Enhance at a high level that enjoy the complexity of moving your Lava Lash around. And I think most people find it obnoxious. Like, I've heard people compare it to Mark of the Crane. Mark of the Crane is way different. Like, it's a generator, first of all. I guess, like, Enhance doesn't really have generators or spenders. Like, you do, but, like, also your generators do hella damage. Like, comparing Tiger Palm and Lava Lash, for example, is hilarious. But it's not up all the time. It's on, like, a cooldown. And also, monks put it up for free with their clones. Like, you don't really have to think about it that much. Ellie stinks. Dude, I think Ellie is my favorite caster. I think I like Ellie Shaman. I think Ellie Shaman is my favorite caster spec. I haven't played casters in a long time, but I just enjoy Ellie Shaman a lot. I think it's super fun. Definitely get owned that they don't have raid buffs though. Get fucking shit on. They've been good at Mythic Plus as far as I could tell this season though. Like, to a lot of people, if you're not in, like, the absolute meta comp at the very top, your class sucks. That's a very, like, very, very small percentage of the community's, like, opinion. LA Shamans are big damn in Mythic Plus. They have pretty good stops, too. What does an LA Shaman have for stops? They have, you have Cap Totem double stop. You have Thunderstorm knock up. Is it just Thunderstorm knock up, Cap Totem double stop? Is that it? I think it's just that. But I mean, that's... For some reason, I've always felt like Enhance had, like, really good stops. But it actually is just two things. But I guess they're up, Earthquake RNG. Yeah, but you don't, like... You know what I'm saying? Like if you're assigned to stop a certain cast, like, if your stop is next, and, like, 4 casts are going off, and one of them gets Earthquake stunned, it didn't really do anything. Or Earthquake knocked down, you know? Like, you still have to use that stun. It can have niche uses, but I don't think it, like, actually counts. Enhance also has Sundering. Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But you don't, like, Sunder to stop a lot of the times. It's like a bonus, kind of. If you're playing it, even. You excited to see the Leafs take this W today? Oh, is that game starting soon? Oh, yeah. Starting in 20 minutes. Oh, Timberwolves Nuggets has started. Bro, I don't know if you guys are basketball fans, but, like, probably the best series of the entire playoffs is happening in the second round of the Western side of the bracket right now, because there's too many good teams in the West. Like, I think if either the Nuggets or Timberwolves win this series, the winner of this series will win the title. But I also feel like Denver can't lose. I think they're just too good, as long as Jamal Murray stays healthy. Do you mean the Celtics? I think Celtics would take Minnesota or Denver to 7 games if Porzingis was healthy. But I think it's kind of weird that Porzingis was healthy all year on someone who's famously very injury prone, and then, like, we get to the playoffs and now he's hurt. And, like, I know he might be able to come back by the finals, and the East is probably a breeze even without him. But, like, coming back off of an injury, someone that big, they could get re-injured really easily as well. But yeah, I think you're right. I think Boston could win if Porzingis is healthy, but I don't know. I feel like in the playoffs, the really good team doesn't win a lot of the time. It's the team with that dude. And Jokic is that dude. And honestly, Ant is that dude. And Jason Tatum's the best player on a good team. But I don't know if Jason Tatum's that dude. You know what I mean? In basketball, sometimes it just comes down to that. Luka's that dude too. Yeah, for sure. 100%. Stars versus Knights game 7 tomorrow. I am nervous already. The entire hockey community will be so happy if Vegas loses. I don't really give a fuck, but Vegas, like, Vegas, there's this thing in hockey where if you have players that are injured, you can recruit players to, like, go over the salary cap because your player is injured before the end of the season. But, like, if that player comes back in the playoffs, it's like the salary cap rules are, like, not applied. So Vegas, like, had their captain injured for a while and, like, recruited 2, like, star players. Then they're over the salary cap, and a lot of hockey teams that are not Vegas fans are very mad. Even though every single one of those fans would be a fan if their team did it. But, you know. Drake dropped a new diss track? Holy fuck. Really? Live listen? Nah. Earlier today he did? I thought it was yesterday. Wait, so are there 2 new diss tracks now? So Kendrick Lamar 3 minutes ago released one called Not Like Us. Was that to one that... Bro, what the fuck is going on, man? Oh shit, Max keeping up with Kendrick v. Drake? Yeah, I've got a problem. I think it's super interesting, though. I think it's... I know a lot of you guys aren't into that. You may not even just be into the music, but like culturally, it's pretty significant. It's pretty cool. Honestly, it's the most interesting thing that's happened in rap in a long time. It's like the WWE type shit. That says more about rap than this? Yeah, probably true. Why don't World First Guilds drop diss tracks? I think there's a world where THD makes a diss track about Echo, and it's extremely fucking funny. But I don't think he would care enough to ever do it. Like, if it's not, like, it doesn't even, like, if it's not, like, even if it was bad, it would be, like, funny bad, you know? I mean, it would definitely be bad. Actually, is there a world where, like, THD randomly just has insane flow? That would be fucking hilarious. Like, I think that's actually the funniest outcome of that is that THD makes a diss track and everyone's expecting me to be bad, but he's fucking insanely good at rapping. Like, that would by far be the funniest thing. Why is there drama with Drake and other rappers? Nah, it's too long to get into. It's just over some pride ego shit. I sell more records than you. And then the response is, I am more culturally relevant than you. I'm what they listen to in the streets. And they argued over that for a bit. Now it's getting real personal and people fucking love drama. That's all it is. I'm in the streets, can confirm. There's no chance anyone who listens to this is from the street. Fucking ain't no way. Can you imagine living in the hood and just playing fucking WoW? There's no fucking chance. And even if you are, you're definitely not in the streets. You're in your fucking house. There's fucking no way. Maybe back in the day, but not now. But also, I don't know shit about that, so maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I just really, really don't think I'm wrong. I think that's how that works. All right, boys. I think it's about that time. There's a couple of playoff games I want to watch right now. I gotta finish my food and shit. I think we yapped for a good 3 hours today. Tomorrow will be an extra yap session. Monday, I had a full day commercial shoot, which got canceled, which is fucking sick. So I might be streaming the next 3 fucking days. That's hype. All right. Anyways, I'll see you guys when I see you. You know what it is.